There's nothing worse than a reckless jackass who thinks he's smarter than everybody else.
I am the smartest man alive!
The Mark Reardon Show is on now.
Happy Thursday, everybody. So Mike Elam sitting in for Mark Reardon today, and Annie was talking about it earlier. I was talking to Ryan out in the hallway. I'm like, hey, how you doing? He goes, it's been a long week. I'm like, it has. I don't know if it's just all the rain and everything. I mean, yesterday, everything kind of went to hell in a handbasket with the traffic and all that stuff.
I looked up that accident today, and it was 10 vehicles.
10. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you run into that at all, Fred?
On my way home, no, it was pretty.
He goes south.
On south.
Oh, that's true. You're going the other way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just fine going the other direction. There was no problems at all. It's funny how that works. That was kind of crazy. And then today started off similarly where it was raining this morning. My dog got up like at 3:00 and decided to leave me a present on my bathroom floor on my rug. That was very nice of her. So I don't know what's going on with that. My wife sent me a text later on that said Coco's not feeling good. And I'm like, yeah, I know. She greeted me this morning with that. So that was kind of crazy. Today is National Day of Prayer. President Trump had a expanded National Day of Prayer at the Rose Garden today, and he had everybody there. Most all his cabinet was there. Well, the ones that are still in the cabinet. So Mike Waltz, we thought, lost his job. And then what we found out is he's really just changing jobs. So
he's moving on up.
He's moving on up to the United Nations.
Is he really? I don't know anything about this. I've been unplugged. What is it?
So Mike Waltz, the National Security Advisor, right?
Right.
So
right.
A whole thing came out. Remember about that chat that was going on?
The signal chat.
The signal chat that was happening that was, supposed to be secured and all that stuff. But somehow, and nobody really seems to admit how this happened, they ended up looping in the editor of The Atlantic, right? I think that's who it was.
Right,
that was got looped into this chat. And Pete Hegseth was part of this and a number of folks. And the Democrats have been beating on this for a long time and saying Mike Waltz needs to go. You need to be rid of him. They hate Hegseth, so they want him to go away as well. But today, right before the Rose Garden Day of Prayer ceremony happened, as a matter of fact, they announced that they're letting Mike Waltz go as National Security Advisor. And his assistant, his deputy, was being kicked out as well. And so you had all the talking heads kind of talking about that. The Democrats taking a victory lap, should have been gone from the beginning, blah, blah, blah. This is a horrible administration, same thing that we always hear. And then you find out that, well, he's actually not gone. They're just moving him to be the United Nations.
To be
person.
The U.S.
the
ambassador to the United
Nations.
Which was a position that was to have been filled by Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, but then she was pulled back.
Right, because they were worried about
President
losing
Trump
her
said
seat.
We might lose her seat in New York. So she was pulled back to stay in Congress. So that's, that seat's been open. And so this is going to be, Mike Waltz is going to be the nominee for that seat.
And I would assume, they approved him before. I would assume they would approve him again.
It may be hard, although a lot of Democrats are saying this is going to be a bloody confirmation because of all the signal information that came out, that they're going to try and make this a really hard one.
Well, he's not going to have as much top secret information at this point, being at the United Nations. He's going there to try to get things done. So we'll see if that could happen. So, Sue, that's what's going on.
Okay.
I guess the follow-up to that, to kind of cap it off and put an end to that, Marco Rubio is getting the National Security Advisor added to his Secretary of State duties. So Marco's getting, multiple jobs. He's wearing as many hats as Mike Elam.
Wow.
Or Elon Musk.
Or Elon Musk, right.
Mm-hmm.
But Musk is going away, remember. He's going back to Tesla. And he's phasing out of Doge, and he's getting back to rebuilding his falling stock price of what's going on with Tesla. It's so funny how the world has changed in the last, I don't know, 5 months. Is that kind of where we are from where the election happened? 6 months?
100 days.
Well, 100
That's what
days
I've
that he's
heard.
been in. 103,
Okay.
I guess, with some what he's been in. But if you look at where we were on election day and where we are now, up is down, down is up, green is blue, blue is green. It's all over the place. Trump has managed to get Democrats to take positions that you never would have thought they would take. They were the Green Party, the party of renewable energy, and electric cars are everything. And Elon Musk makes the most electric cars of anybody. But now they hate him and they hate his cars. And they're out vandalizing his cars. And I guess nobody bothered to tell him or tell the people vandalizing, the cameras are running all the time. So it's kind of like.
And in some cases, it doesn't matter, right?
Right.
So there was one caught on camera. That was bad. Did anything happen to him? Nope. What was it? Something, Fred? Well, like some light sentence?
I think there's a
Yeah.
number of them that are still pending, and they haven't really done anything. I don't know what the actual classification is if you key a car. So if you key a car, that's a misdemeanor, right?
I don't know. Probably depends on where you are.
Where's
right?
Brad Young when we need him?
Yeah.
Right? So, hey.
Hey, Brad will be on with us tomorrow at
Good.
5 o'clock.
Very cool.
Yep.
So we'll check in with Brad. By the way, tomorrow on the roundtable, we've got State Representative Steve Butts, former circuit judge and former state senator Ted House, and Gene Evans is going to join us. So it's going to be a really good roundtable.
And that's because Jane
is going to be in Alabama.
and I think President Trump is speaking at that graduation ceremony.
So Trump talked
later
about
this
that
afternoon.
today.
That's right.
He talked about that in the Rose Garden and said that he's actually going to the University of Alabama and he's going to speak. They have 7 graduations at the University of Alabama.
Woo.
7 different ceremonies.
And when Jane left here, she said, well, he's not speaking at my daughter's.
Right.
But
they're
they've
rolling a
combined
bunch
them
of them
all.
together.
Yeah.
I don't know if all of them are going into that. So Jane may be there. But it's funny, Trump said they have 7 graduations and they decided they're going to roll them all into one. And that's a lot.
It is a lot.
It is a lot. I mean, have you been to a college graduation? Sometimes these things take a really long time. It's like they read everybody's name.
And they do.
They do.
They put some of these online now, I
Yeah.
guess, for the relatives. And I watched one of my nieces graduate in the car on the phone, because it just takes
Right.
forever to get to the T's. So on and on and on. But there she is, and they video them, and you can watch it do it. It's a lot easier to watch it that way.
You feel bad for the people. I mean, the people who are A's get it done right away. And
Uh-huh.
then they sit there on their phones, I guess, for the entire time. But the people at the Z's, it's like,
Well, exactly. You just check in. Okay, we're at the C's. All right, we're at the H's.
Right.
All right, I'll wait till. Okay, all right.
it started at breakfast, but by lunch they should be to my name.
Right.
We'll see how all this stuff works out. It was one of the big things that we're going to talk about later on today is the fact that the press conference that happened today was Stephen Miller just eviscerating the liberal media that was there, calling them to task about everything that's going on. Let's see, which one should we go back to and get to, I guess, the best. Let's start at the top. Let's start with cut 23. This is Stephen Miller. He came out, he did a long soliloquy about everything that's going on with the Trump administration and why it's great and why you should be happy that Donald Trump is the president, right? Then he starts taking questions. And the questions that he gets are just annoying him. He's fun. If you watch his face when they're asking the questions, you can just read on his face the internal monologue that's going on in his head of, you're an idiot. Why am I here? Why am I even talking to you? This is cut 23.
If they had a choice between and I'm a parent of young children, you had a choice between a doll from China that might have, say, lead paint in it, that is not as well constructed as a doll made in America that has a higher environmental and regulatory standard and that is made to a higher degree of quality. And those two products are both on Amazon, that yes, you probably would be willing to pay more for a better made American product. But here's the key point. with the tax cuts, the regulation cuts, the energy price decrease, and everything else that President Trump is doing to unleash this era of American prosperity and prevent the road we were on to get off that road of financial ruin and doom, means that it will be cheaper than ever to make and manufacture in America.
So the backstory of that is the reporter is asking him about prices going up. And the example that he uses, Donald Trump actually used this example and said it would go up in price, is the price of a toy doll. Yes, I said a toy doll is the price that the reporter used as, well, prices are going up. I mean, the president even said you're going to have to pay more for toy dolls. Fred, how many toy dolls do you normally buy a year?
I don't think I'm in that class of
not
people
there?
buying toy
Ethan,
dolls.
I mean, you're a newlywed. Do you buy toy dolls for your
Well,
wife?
I may be a newlywed, but I'm not a parent, so I am also.
I didn't know if your wife, you bought her dolls. You know, Sue, you're
I don't need
our
any.
female. No,
No.
no. Okay. So I guess for all of us, the price of toy dolls really doesn't affect our daily life. So we'll see where that was going. It was interesting. Somebody asked about Kamala Harris doing her first speech. And I guess we should probably listen to a quick cut from Kamala before we get back to actually talking about what they thought of her speech. But it's funny when you listen to her, she has this cadence, and maybe it's just me, but her cadence is really annoying when you listen to. Let's do cut 16. I know you're going to be surprised, but she rips Donald Trump's agenda.
It's an agenda, a narrow, self-serving vision of America, where they punish truth tellers, favor loyalists, cash in on their power.
Doesn't it feel like she, in many cases, pauses after every word?
Oh, it's super annoying. It's not just you, and it's part of the word salad stuff that she does.
It is.
Did you hear her elephant story?
So I had.
Wait, is that today?
Yeah.
Oh no, what is it?
Oh, so she talked about that. So we've got back to back that we're going to play. So it's two parts of the elephant rambling. So let's start cut 17 and then roll into cut 18 right after this.
Please allow me, friends, to digress for a moment.
Oh,
okay.
goody.
It's kind of dark in here, but I'm asking for a show of hands. Who saw that video from a couple of weeks ago? The one of the elephants at the San Diego Zoo during the earthquake?
I missed it. I missed that video.
Google it if you've not seen it.
I'll have to Google
We
that.
saw it, but really.
So that scene has been on my mind. Everybody's asking me what you've been thinking about these days. Well, as soon as they felt the earth shaking beneath their feet, they got in a circle and stood next to each other to protect the most vulnerable. We know those who try to incite fear are most effective when they divide and conquer, when they separate the herd, when they try to make everyone think they are alone. But in the face of crisis, the lesson is don't scatter.
What in the? By the time she's done, I've already thought I've turned into Ethan. I'm like, let's see, what did I get a text?
Speak for yourself. I am motivated.
I mean,
riveted.
what?
There's no limits as to what I'm going to do with my evening following the show.
So let's get Stephen Miller's take real quick before we get out of here. Cut 26 on Kamala's speech.
It was a great reminder to the American people of just how blessed we all are that the leader sitting in the Oval Office today is President Donald Trump and not President Kamala Harris. It was a helpful reminder of just what a travesty and a tragedy that would have been. It would have been the end of America.
But wait, there's more. So Kevin McCarthy, who obviously is a huge fan of Kamala Harris, this is his reaction to her speech. It's cut 14.
One of her greatest weaknesses is her ability to speak. And I don't know if she goes back on stage in a big crowd that it's going to help her, because no one's asking her to come out. She has waited trying to have people forget about her and try to resurrect an ability to maybe run for governor of California. And I just don't think this does it. She has forgotten. Her whole campaign was against President Trump, not for ideas. And what's her first step out? Trying to continue that. She hasn't gotten over the loss. She hasn't realized why she lost. And it's just the same thing you're seeing in the Democratic Party, an internal fight for leadership.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it. That's it in a nutshell.
It's an eternal fight for leadership, and she thinks that she's going to be governor of California. Can you imagine, as bad as California is right now, it could be worse? I mean, Gavin Newsom at least is recognizing what's going on, and he's trying to change things with his little podcast. He's trying to play and say, see, I'm open to new and different ideas. She's not even open to a speech teacher, which she desperately needs to figure out how to string more than...
I just can't.
I know.
I just can't.
So years ago, I learned there are three types of people. There's visual, audio, and kinesthetic people. I am a visual person. Visual people speak faster. Audio people speak a little less. Kinesthetic people think about every word, and it drives me up a wall when I have to have a conversation with a kinesthetic person. I want to finish their sentences all the time. Kamala Harris does that to me. She is that type person. Bill D'Agostino is going to join us next. He's a senior research analyst for Media Research Center's Newsbusters. He's going to tell us about sort of the reckoning of the week that was, of what's been going on. Trump just destroying Terry Moran. We talked about that a little bit. Stephen Miller, you heard a little of that. Chuck Todd. Don't you miss Chuck Todd? Yeah, me either. Anyway, we're going to talk to Bill on the other side. Mike Elam sitting in for Mark Reardon today. Hey, welcome to May 1st. It's a national day of prayer, and after listening to all that, I think we could all use a little bit of that. It's 97.1 FM Talk.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk. Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Hey, I forgot it's my music today. Thanks, Ethan. Sure is. All right, we've got an accident eastbound 70 approaching Wentzville Parkway. Watch for that in the left lane, and it rained out there again, and we have a solid parking lot jam back through Forestell. Now, also slow is westbound 70 in the Wentzville area. Generally, we have moderate volume, and that's westbound 70 past the airport and right around Cave Springs. 64, same thing, especially just from Kings Highway out through McCausland. Then things open up. They slow again out at N. Southbound 270, slow pockets Page down through Doherty Ferry. 44 is slowing at 270. And 55, we had an accident reported in the construction zone before you get all the way down to Bates. And then south of Bates, it looks better. If you're headed into Illinois, now's the time, it's fine. But there's a jam on southbound Route 3 headed for Monsanto. And that, of course, is due to a slow-moving train. This report brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, they've been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. From windows and siding to kitchens, baths, and outdoor spaces, they deliver quality craftsmanship backed by lifetime warranties. Visit lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk.
I can never say enough about Alex and Gary Rosenberger at MasterCars Inc. I love these guys. I've known them for a decade now. I have purchased vehicles from them. I have sold them a vehicle or two, and I want you to do the same thing. I've been saying this a lot lately. They're just like a regular car dealership, but they're better. Now, look. Used cars, new car caliber. You have a lot of fun cars, weekend cars. If you go up on their website, you're going to see this right now because they have an amazing assortment of vehicles on the lot, plus motorcycles, cool Harleys, a Ducati Super Sport from 2018. They have Ford Broncos, Corvettes, everyday cars. If you're looking for something and they don't have it, they can find it for you. They can have it shipped here to St. Louis, and you're going to be completely happy with the buying experience. Please tell them that I sent you over if you contact the team at Mastercars Inc. They're in Granite City, mastercarsinc.com, mastercarsinc.com.
Get ready, St. Louis. The largest Walk for Wishes in the nation is back. Join us on May 3rd at Energizer Park in downtown St. Louis for the Walk for Wishes and 5K race presented by Spectrum. Run, walk, roll, or stroll and celebrate the power of a wish with a 5K race or 1 mile fun walk, all benefiting our local Make-A-Wish chapter. Sign up today and help grant life-changing wishes for children with critical illnesses. Visit walkforwishesstl.com to register today.
When you're injured on the job, you need more than just a workers' comp lawyer. When you need a fighter, you need us. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, for the people. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Experience the exhilarating atmosphere of a Cardinals game. Join the sea of red in the wave around the stadium. Feel the rush of excitement as a home run lights up the sky with fireworks, bringing the whole ballpark to their feet. Nothing beats the thrill of watching the Cards get the W with the final out at the plate. It's more than a game. It's an experience. Visit Cardinals.com for tickets and info. St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
There is no better way to enjoy America's favorite pastime than cheering on the Cardinals with your family at Busch Stadium. From the thrill of watching the game to the kid-friendly activities, food, and fun, the ballpark has it all. Make magical memories as you cheer together for every home run, double play, and Cards win. Your family's summer tradition starts here at Busch Stadium. Grab your tickets today at Cardinals.com. St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They're in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
No pain, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Springboard to Learning provides enriching learning experiences for students in grades pre-K through 12, offering a diverse range of arts-integrated programming designed to foster passionate and engaged learners. Their signature program, The Art of Baseball, teaches students to analyze and interpret data as they discover the connections between art, baseball, statistics, and the world of business. Check out their work on display at the Together Credit Union Plaza at Ballpark Village on May 20th, or visit their website at springboardstl.org. This nonprofit highlight is brought to you by Together Credit Union.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
3:31 is the time. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
97.1 FM Talk. You're listening to the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Hope your May is starting off well. At least the rain stopped, the sun came out, and here comes the sun. We're having a little Beatles flashback today. So, Sue, you did all the music today?
Yeah, what do you think? That was Nick Lowe.
I'm liking it. I haven't heard that song in quite a while. I love 70s music, by the way.
Because it's awesome.
It is awesome. 70s is probably my favorite music of all time. Hey, by the way, I wanted to say a special thank you to Bowie Funeral Home. Today was the 33rd annual Missouri Peace Officers Memorial that they had out there in honoring all of the law enforcement officers for them in St. Charles County who passed. We had the one earlier this week that also was the 33rd annual, honoring all the law enforcement who has passed for across the St. Louis region. And police officer, I don't know if it's called Police Officer Memorial Week, but that starts May 11th. And that's going to happen. You're going to have things that happen all over the country. The big one is in Washington, D.C. that's coming up. So special shout out to all our first responders, especially law enforcement community, for everything you do for us. Bill D'Agostino is joining us on the phone today. He is the senior research analyst for the Media Research Center's Newsbusters. Bill, how are you?
I'm doing well. How's it going, man?
Sounds like the door just kicked open. Is that? I'm just kidding. I'm glad you're taking some time to join us. Man, you have had just, it seems like Christmas for what you're doing, of all the different things that you have to write about, with Trump doing the Terry Moran thing. I didn't know Chuck Todd was still with us. I thought he went away, or maybe just wishful thinking. And then today, Stephen Miller just going off. It's got to be Christmas for you and stuff to write about.
Yeah, it has been. We actually also just recently published our first 100 days study of broadcast networks, and if you can believe it, they've been more negative on the president than they were during the first 100 days of his first term.
I can't believe that's even possible.
Right? Yeah, 92% negative. Pretty remarkable.
Wow.
And in fact, on the three most covered topics, which would be DOGE, tariffs, and immigration, all of those were actually more than 92% negative. DOGE was 97% negative, and tariffs and immigration, like one of his most popular issues, 92 or 93% negative. So, I mean, there's not really any reasoning with this kind of coverage, right? I mean, the media would, when they would look at our statistics, they would always say, well, couldn't it just be that, X percent of the stuff that he's doing is negative and we're just covering it straight? But I mean, I think that really isn't convincing anybody anymore. When you see how maniacally they go after this guy and how relentlessly they hammer any topic that they think they can smell a little bit of blood in the water on, it really puts lie to the notion that they're just trying to be objective and frame things as they really are.
I mean, you cover this stuff every day, and I'm sure you get a little desensitized with everything that's kind of happening because you see it so much. But what's been the biggest surprise for you on this first 100 days of the coverage that you're seeing?
The most remarkable thing to me, and this is just for the evening newscast now from our broadcast study, but there was not a single positive remark about Pete Hegseth in any of their evening newscasts.
Wow.
It was 899 stories that they did related to Trump, and in not a single one of them was there a single positive remark about Hegseth. It was 100% negative.
Wow.
And in fact, I did a study of cabinet nominees back very early into the administration. That one included morning show coverage as well. And so there were actually 3 positive remarks aired across 2 ABC and 1 CBS morning show. And you know what they were? They were quotes from Hegseth's mom. So that was the only positive coverage that the guy got, was literally his own mother.
My mom likes me. You should too.
Exactly. Yeah, because they chased her down and tried to get negative quotes from her, and she slightly defended him. So that was enough. But yeah, I mean, it's clearly with Hegseth specifically, they see him, I think, as a weaker link in the Trump cabinet, and he's a scalp that they've really wanted since Trump nominated him.
Do you think it's because he's a former Fox guy?
I absolutely think that that's part of it.
Okay.
I think that his affiliation with Fox basically makes them immediately count him as an unserious person. And it certainly doesn't help that he's also on the warpath against DEI and trying to actually return lethality and war fighting capability to the top of the docket for the Department of Defense, which you would think that that's kind of natural thinking, right? That's like the most obvious thing that the DoD should be focusing on. But of course, this is wacky leftist world, and they hate that.
They've got to be really upset then, because he keeps talking about, for the last week, of the record numbers of enlistments that they're seeing in the military.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, that 100% negative stat, what that reflects is absolutely zero coverage of record-breaking enlistment.
Wow.
Because, obviously they don't want to talk about that because it's a win for Trump, which, gets us back to the whole idea of no, you're not just interested in covering the facts as they are. You're interested in selling narratives and obfuscating anything that might make Trump look even marginally good.
I wanted to play you a piece of audio from earlier today. This is cut 27, Ethan. This is Stephen Miller reading the riot act to the liberal media earlier today.
Yep. And each and every one of you that sides over and over again with these MS-13 terrorists, to the extent that you have the financial means to do so, you all choose to live in condos or homes or houses as far away from these kinds of gangbangers as you possibly can. If I offered any one of you a rent-free home with no taxes to pay in any of these gang neighborhoods, and I said your neighbors are MS-13 terrorists or Mexican mafia or Sinaloa cartel or Tren de Aragua, I couldn't pay you to live there. But yet you, with your coverage, are trying to force innocent Americans to have these people as their neighbors, and that one day their daughter may be abducted from their home and raped and murdered. So you're not going to get an ounce of sympathy from this administration or President Trump for the terrorists who've invaded our homes and our country.
Man, it just feels like all-out war right now in this briefing room, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I'm going to steal a line from somebody that I saw on X, and I'm forgetting who to credit here, but he said he posted an image of a video of Stephen Miller doing something similar at a press spray last week, and he said, "Man, it's great to watch an athlete in peak form just playing his sport."
And he revels in it. He really does, and he's so good. I mean, he came in today.
He's excellent.
He did that entire press conference, no notes, like nothing in front of him, and just rattle it off. Boom, 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 boom. And he stands there and just takes it to him.
And, this guy has been, he's been basically in a bunker for the last 4 years, going through like old U.S. law, trying to craft this whole like grand legal strategy for how to implement in as many different ways as possible, Trump's deportation agenda. And then these lightweight journalists who have for example, just heard what the Alien Enemies Act last week, right, or something like that, come out and they try to spar with him, and he starts citing chapter and verse at them, and it's like, wow, you are so out of your element. This man is he's made himself the foremost expert on these things, just because he's the only one who's put in the legwork. He's put in the time,
And he knows it, chapter and verse, like you're saying. He knows it all by heart.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. It is fun to see him schooling them on that. And honestly, I've been a bit of a curmudgeonly border hawk for most of my political career, and I genuinely do feel that on border security, and I don't really like to frame it as immigration. I think that's kind of a media framing tactic, because border security is actually a charge of the executive branch. Immigration is a charge of the legislative branch, right? Like passing laws about the naturalization of citizens, that's the legislature's job.
That's a good point.
Border security specifically, I think is something that the media are further to the left of the American people on than just about any other topic. I mean, truly the standard for who gets to live and stay in America, even if they're an illegal citizen, it's two criteria. It's A, do you want to? And B, have you gotten here? And if you check those two boxes, the media think you should be allowed to stay here forever, and that anybody saying otherwise, anything that deviates from that is just unabashed cruelty and evil. Because, they don't believe in borders, at least not when it comes to America.
Well, they seem to have been just turning a blind eye to the whole thing. And Miller really read them on that earlier today and telling them about the fact of you had all these people coming across and you wrote nothing negative about it, at least. What did you think of the interview with Terry Moran with ABC did with him?
Terry Moran is an incredibly slippery fellow. I am continuously shocked at how disingenuous he is, the way he engages with, not just Trump in this interview, but in general, whenever he's got a Republican politician sitting in front of him. I was talking about this with a friend last night. He has this thing that he does, and a lot of these journalists do that, where they will cloak a nugget of truth in just a whole web of lies. And so starting from a nugget of truth, move on to push a completely false narrative. And so in this case, what that looked like was in that discussion with Trump about the MS-13 tattoos on Kilmar Abrego Garcia's knuckles. Moran points out, okay, he does not actually literally have the symbols MS13 on his knuckles. But then from that, he gives the he starts talking about, photos being photoshopped, and gives the impression essentially that this guy might not even have tattoos on his fingers at all.
Right.
Or if they are, they have nothing to do with MS13, when the reality is they are widely recognized by basically all criminologists who know anything about this as, yes, these are obviously MS13 tattoos. But from just the fact that it's not literally the letters MS and the numbers 13, he then gives the impression that this whole story is fake. And then when Trump tries to call him on it, he acts like he doesn't even know what Trump's talking about. And that's basically a microcosm of what the whole interview was. I mean, this is the game that he always plays with people.
This is my favorite quote, cut 34 from that interview.
Do you think the reputation of the United States has gone down under your presidency? No, I think it's gone way up, and I think we're a respected country again. We were laughed at all over the world. We had a president that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs, couldn't walk down a flight of stairs, couldn't walk across the stage without falling. We had a president that was grossly incompetent. You knew it, I knew it, and everybody knew it, but you guys didn't want to write it because you're fake news. All right. Thank you. And by the way, ABC is one of the worst. I have to be honest with you.
I love that. You're the worst. And he just calls him out straight on his interview. The thing I love, though, is that it aired. I mean, you're telling your viewers, you're letting the president of the United States tell your viewers that what they're watching right now is the worst news coverage that they could see.
And I think it's an issue of their perception, right? Because they are so just knee-jerk, horrified and offended and disgusted by Trump saying that they can't interpret that or they can't imagine that comment being read differently by anybody else, anybody watching. And so they expect their viewers to have the exact same revulsion to hearing Trump say, "Oh, you're fake news, you're the worst, you're terrible," that they do, because they see this as some kind of like grievous injustice. But of course, that's not how the rest of us perceive it. Most people perceive that as a pretty aggressive dunk on Terry Moran. And, he was taking little jabs at Moran throughout the whole interview at one point. He was. At one point, he said, "I didn't even know who you were before you came in here."
He's like, "That's why I gave you the interview. I didn't know who you were. Thought I was helping this young journalist by giving him a break."
What's funny, too, is what Trump was talking about there. Moran actually said an incredibly similar thing about Donald Trump during his first term. We put out a compilation of some of Moran's worst moments of talking about Trump in the lead up to this interview. And in one of them, I believe it was in 2017, he says the United States has become a laughingstock in the capitals of Europe. That's a direct quote.
Wow.
And of course, he's referring to the Trump administration, in Moran's view, at least, mishandling our international relations. So it's kind of funny to hear Trump talking about his predecessor in very similar terms that Moran himself has discussed Trump.
Wow. So he's just putting it back to him.
Yeah. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but spot the difference, right? One of them is a politician and one of them is supposed to be an objective journalist.
I just love the fact that Trump doesn't matter. He'll go into any limestone, wherever, and just take you on. And he takes on everybody. He doesn't just do friendly interviews like Biden used to do all the time.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry, Biden didn't do interviews. What was I thinking? That was wrong. Hey, that's Bill D'Agostino. Bill, what's the best way for people to follow you along?
Come check us out at newsbusters.org. And our parent site is mrc.org for Media Research Center. And if you like, you can follow me on X too. I'm at @banned_Bill. Although I'm not banned anymore.
That's funny. I love that. Well, man, thanks for taking the time to be with us today. I hope your May is fantastic. We're kicking off with sunshine here. I hope it's sunny where you are. So thanks for giving us some time today.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on, man.
That is Bill D'Agostino. He's the senior research analyst for the Media Research Center's Newsbusters. It's just funny to watch some of that stuff and hear some of these things. I can't believe that there is zero media positive coverage of Pete Hegseth. I don't know why I should be surprised about that, but to have zero, you would think there would have been something somewhere, especially when you start talking about recruitment numbers. It's Mike Elam sitting in for Mark Reardon today. Hope your day is starting off well. It is National Day of Prayer, so you may want to pause at some point just to thank God for the blessings that you have. We are thankful that you are listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Very good side. It means that I love you, baby. You gotta be cruel to be kind.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got an accident reported westbound 70 approaching 79. Watch for that in the left lane. And they have cleared that accident eastbound 70 approaching Wentzville Parkway. And we've got an accident reported westbound 70 at 9th Street. Watch for that on the right-hand shoulder. Now, most of the volume, if you are on 70 right now, is westbound past the airport. There's an accident just past Mid-Rivers as you head towards 79. And we've got an accident reported just before Wentzville Parkway with some volume there. 64 isn't that bad. It's mainly moderate volume Kings Highway in pockets out through 270 and a little bit of a slow go Highway N out through 70. Southbound 141 jams at 64. Southbound 270 jams at Olive. It's pretty slow down at 44 as well. And 55 is a slow go south of Arsenal down through, it looks like Bates still. And that's in the construction zone. Construction zone slowdown eastbound on the Poplar. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
I love John and Cindy Morelli from Morelli Tuck Pointing. I've known them for quite some time. They've been a fine supporter of mine on my previous station and on here, but I want them to go to work for you if you need tuck pointing. Now, you may have a chimney that's falling apart or something like that, right? I used to live in the city. I don't have a brick home right now, but I used to live in the city, not too far from Sue. I had a brick home, and it was in pretty good shape. But when they get older, things start falling apart. That's when you need to call in Morelli Tuck Pointing. They have been in St. Louis for a long time, since 1991. Tuck pointing, stone foundation repair, spot pointing with color match, chimney repair, brickwork, caulking, waterproofing. They do it all, and they do it with free estimates, competitive pricing, 31 plus years of experience, and they're family owned and operated. I love Morelli Tuck Pointing. You will too. Awesome customer service. They're online at MorelliTuckPointing.com. Tuck pointing, stone foundation repair, spot pointing with color match, chimney repair, brickwork, caulking, waterproofing. Do me a favor, tell them that I sent you along. MorelliTuckPointing.com.
Hi, my name is Christina Straight, the owner of Straight Realty, and I'm asking you, what do you want in a realtor? Do you want experience? I've been a broker for over 21 years. Do you want to know how much I've sold? I've sold over $500 million, yes, $1 billion with a B, in sales. Do you want value? I now list properties for only 2%. So if you're looking for all these things and want the best, then call me 314-441-4444. Why pay more than 2? You can also listen to my podcast on my website, straightrealty.com.
Commissions are not regulated and unenforceable. Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Fry, and Mark Reardon, along with Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group, for the next Protecting Your Retirement educational event. It's Tuesday, May 20th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Here are Bob and Thomas with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired and worried about the market volatility and losses at this stage in your life? Would you like to learn why linking to the market is much safer than owning the market?
Would you like to learn how to automatically lock in your market gains every year without having to sell? Did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg from any future losses? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you cannot afford to miss this event.
Protect your retirement nest egg and join the official financial advisors of my show, Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw, at the Frontenac Hilton on Tuesday, May 20th at 6:30 p.m. Go to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
I'm Danny Cohn, President and CEO of the Jewish Federation of St. Louis. This past week, the Jewish holiday of Yom HaShoah commemorated the 80th anniversary of the Holocaust and remembered the 6 million Jews who were murdered by the Nazis in World War II. As Jews, when we recall the atrocities of the Holocaust, we say, never again. This is not a slogan or a tagline. It's a responsibility we all share to prevent the systematic hatred from going unchecked. When we work together to fight against prejudice and bigotry towards everyone, we create a better community for everyone.
This could be the number 1 tax saving strategy for your retirement savings, and it's hidden inside IRS tax code section 1.408A-4. Discover what it is and how you can make your money go further in retirement in a 3-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. Hey, it's Sue Thomas, and this is a one-night class. It's taught by advisors from financial and tax architects. They have decades of financial planning experience, and they hold these at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis, and you'll learn about reducing your taxes, maximizing Social Security, paying for health care, and more. And they do it for free, but bring 3 canned goods for St. Louis Crisis Nursery. There are a few openings left for classes this month, so register now by calling 314-947-2012, 314-947-2012. That's 314-947-2012.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Tom Ackerman. You're going to see a billionaire will go buy 51% of an athletics department. Investors look at that as an opportunity to make money and control what is a behemoth in the making.
The Mark Cox Morning Show. Weekdays from 5 to 9. You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
So I apologize for going a little long with Bill D'Agostino, but I always kind of like talking about the media stuff because we're in the media. How do you like that? Tomorrow's going to be fun. We've got the round table that's happening with Steve Butts, Ted House, Gene Evans is joining us. Paul Hall. I always love Fridays here because Paul Hall gives me great stuff to watch on the weekend.
Yes.
And Sue was just talking about it looks like it's going to keep raining. So we'll also get to talk to Frank Cusimano. Blues didn't have a great night last night, but cautiously optimistic because John Gruden's coming to town for the game. So that's going to be fun. We're going to talk with Missouri Lieutenant Governor David Wassinger. He had an interesting day today. We will talk about that coming up at 4:25. George Rosenthal is going to join us. He's one of the owners of ThrottleNet. I learned some stuff today, Sue, that means Mike needs to reset his passwords. We will talk to George about that. He's got some good, helpful hints. Plus, he could tell us what's going on with all this Google stuff that's happening in the courts. They want to break Google up, but it's not so easy to do that with everything is intermingled with these tech companies.
Exactly.
So you can't just cut off one and let the rest of it live. But my favorite thing that's going to happen after the top of the hour, it's Sue's News.
Yay.
And Sue's doing the music today, so it's even better.
Okay,
Mike?
that's what I was going to say. I can't believe how fun it is to pick the music on this show. I had no idea.
And why isn't it playing underneath us right now?
Well, because... It's just really fun, and I had no idea. So thank you to Ethan for letting me have a day.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk. Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, here's the thing. We just have these days where it rains and then it doesn't rain. And we had that same thing today. And out west, it rained again. So watch out for wet roadways. And if you are eastbound on 70, things look better headed for Wentzville, but still a little bit of a slow go. And an accident reported on westbound 70 just before you get to 79. And there's a jam behind that. Southbound 270, most of the volume there is in pockets. Page down through 44. Southbound 55 jam south of Arsenal down through Bates. We've got volume eastbound on the Poplar Street Bridge. It's nothing too terrible. 44 westbound slowing in front of the Arch, and a jam westbound coming off of the McKinley Bridge. 6440, though, just the usual volume, and it starts to line up right at Kings Highway out through McCausland. This report brought to you by New Perspective Senior Living. New Perspective Weldon Spring is redefining senior living. They've got modern apartments, delicious meals, activities, entertainment, even a state-of-the-art AI fall detection system. Visit npseniorliving.com to schedule a tour today. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk.
Do not be that person that lets the power go out and you don't have a generator. And I'm going to guide you into an awesome generator, not just something that's a portable. It is an awesome Generac generator. How about a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from Generator Supercenter right here in St. Louis. They happen to be the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. These are great generators. They're not portables. They're going to install them in quality fashion. And I say that because there's a lot of the companies out there, they go on the cheap with the generators that aren't Generac, and they use wire that is not really compliant. And then a lot of times Generator Supercenter has to go in there and fix it. So they're called for repairs or maintenance on generators that were illegally and sometimes dangerously installed. Don't be that person. They don't sell portables. These are great quality. They're going to kick in right when your house loses power. You get peace of mind with 24-hour monitoring. Don't let the next storm knock out that power. Get with Generator Supercenter today, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. A free estimate is a phone call away, 314-499-2020, Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com.
Hi, this is Steve Butts with the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. I know we're all experiencing sticker shock when you get your insurance premium. Now more than ever, you need an independent insurance agent to find the best value for your family's insurance needs. Crawford Butts, family owned and operated for more than 60 years. Please give us a call at 314-752-2500 or at crawfordbutts.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Who has the most 5-star reviews in St. Louis? Is J.D. Powers Award winner 5 years in a row and has the nation's best warranty coverage. Renewal by Andersen. That's who. Take advantage of our great May sale. $279 off every window and $729 off every entry door or patio door with 0 payments and 0 interest for 18 months. Check it out at rbastl.com or call 314-332-1924. Renewal by Andersen, a better way to a better window.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
A day of change at the White House. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. This as National Security Advisor Mike Waltz becomes the new nominee to be President Trump's U.S. ambassador to the UN. Waltz had faced pressure to resign after his office inadvertently added a journalist to a group chat about military plans on the Signal app.
If the president's issue with Waltz was this now infamous Signal group chat that had the editor from The Atlantic on it, that's really not reflected in the president's post on this. He said that from his time in uniform and on the battlefield and in Congress as my national security advisor, Mike Waltz has worked hard to put our nation's interests first. I know he will do the same in his new role. The national security advisor, until there is a permanent one, is going to be another familiar face, Marco Rubio.
Fox's Peter Doocy at the White House. Rubio, the Secretary of State, is already wearing several hats, also including acting administrator of USAID. Mike Waltz posting that he's deeply honored to continue serving President Trump and our great nation. He'll need Senate confirmation to be UN ambassador. The Trump administration is asking the U.S. Supreme Court to strip temporary legal protections from more than 300,000 Venezuelans, potentially exposing them to deportation. A federal judge kept in place protections that would have expired last month. Democrats proposing House and Senate bills aiming to force the State Department to report steps taken to comply with court orders on people wrongly deported and to issue a human rights report about El Salvador, where the administration mass deported accused gang members.
This is a threat to everybody. We're going to do it. Donald Trump doesn't believe in checks and balances. We do. The American people do. We're going to fight this all the way.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, a federal judge in Texas, meantime, blocking some deportations of Venezuelans in South Texas, ruling the president went beyond the scope of the Alien Enemies Act. America is listening to Fox News.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Another funky-looking sky across St. Louis, and we continue to watch scattered showers and thunder showers. Nothing severe, but they'll be around until about 8 o'clock tonight. In the 60s this evening, 55 for the low, mostly cloudy skies. Friday, mixed clouds and sunshine. A couple of showers possible, mainly during the afternoon hours on Friday. 69 degrees. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
I'm Chad Robison with Your Money Now. The U.S. and Ukraine are signing a long-awaited minerals deal. CNBC is reporting Washington will receive preferential access to Kyiv's natural resources in exchange for the formation of a reconstruction investment fund. U.S. Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent yesterday saying that the economic partnership would allow the two countries to invest together. Stocks rose today after strong quarterly results from two heavy hitters in big tech to help ease out concerns that AI progress would slow during economic uncertainty. The Dow gained 83, the S&P added 35, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq grew by 1.5%. Tesla is denying the Wall Street Journal report that its board was searching for a replacement for CEO Elon Musk. Shares of Tesla fell as much as 3% overnight and are currently off slightly in after-hours trading. Crude oil futures for June are around $59 a barrel. That's Your Money Now.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Sue's News coming up next.
Hey guys, I want you to check out Game Day Men's Health. And I want to explain that there's a difference with Game Day because if we're being honest, you have options when it comes to testosterone testing and PSA tests. They're offering a free testosterone and PSA test. And here's why. They recognize, especially if you've had any ability to compare and contrast, they know if they get you in the door, and Matt will tell you this, at Game Day Men's Health in Chesterfield, they have a couple other locations too. It's such a great environment. It's a man cave environment. They're going to make you feel very comfortable. The staff is amazing, and they're going to guide you through whatever your needs might be. So whether it's low energy, decreased libido, a lot of things that they can really specialize in. They have vitamin therapy, peptide therapy, all these things, some of these things I've never even heard of, but they'll guide you through it at Game Day Men's Health. They won't make you feel rushed. They'll answer all your questions. Then after the free test, they'll come back after about 20 minutes and say, hey, here's what we're seeing. It's a customized treatment plan. There is no one size fits all. And the pricing is very simple. It includes all medicines and supplies. Get with Game Day Men's Health today. They're in Chesterfield at 6440 and Olive and Clarkson. They're in O'Fallon, Missouri, also in Glen Carbon, Illinois. Get back to the top of your game with Game Day Men's Health. GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
Need a lawyer? Onder wins. Call Onder Law at 314-9-million. That's 314-9 all zeros. Or go to onderwins.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. If you missed anything, podcast The Mark Reardon Show at 971talk.com.
The Mark Reardon Show
on 97.1 FM Talk.
So it's a Mark Reardon Show. Mike Elam sitting in for Mark Reardon today, but the music is all Sue Thomas getting her 70s groove on.
Come on, it's LTD.
We got stacks and stacks of hot wax. Spin them for your pleasure.
Every time I hear music, I feel like I'm doing a Biden. Who just doesn't move when the music plays. You guys are bopping around in your seats. I have real trouble moving my body in rhythm with music. So I just kind of stand there and nod.
Well,
like, hey,
give me another week of Sue's music. I think I can have you moving.
Okay.
I think I got it.
The thing I like about Sue's tunes, I know them. So,
yes.
I appreciate the eclectic nature of Mark Reardon.
Yeah.
And he turns me on to things from time to time that I'm like, if you hadn't played that, I never would have heard of that artist. I didn't know anything about them.
Right.
He buys tickets to these shows that come to town. And he's like, oh, I'm going to see blah, blah, blah tonight. I'm like, really? I've never heard of blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Like, oh, yeah, I've got all their albums. I'm like, wait, they have more than one? Oh, yeah, they've been around for 20 years. Really? Okay. How do you make a living as a band when you've never had a hit, but you've been touring? I guess you get like these cult classics or something.
And a lot of it's just internet and Spotify.
Yeah,
and
now you can really hit
build
it.
your own audience.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting.
Well,
there's a lot
we
of...
need to do.
Yeah, we need to put
Sue's
together our own
News.
channel.
Sue's News can do that.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go. Well, hey,
do you
go
have
ahead.
time for me to tie together?
Yes,
Yes,
go
that's
ahead.
what I was going to say. Fred has an update.
Couple things like promises made, promises kept. We were talking about the World's Fair, debuting, opening in 1904 on this date. Yesterday. So, and Ethan says he hasn't heard much about it. So I brought in 2 books for you to take a look at, all about the World's Fair.
Well, thank you.
So
That's
you're
awesome
welcome.
if he
so
could
you
read.
Can bring yourself up to speed on that. Another one, maybe a week or so ago, Mark, Sue, Jane, Ethan, and I were talking about favorite movies, and
yes,
Sound of Music came up for Sue's.
Oh, I love it.
And I
so
told her
much.
there's this amazing tabletop book for you. So there you go. The Sound of Music.
No way.
That's
Oh,
funny.
Fred.
So you've got that there.
My
That's
niece,
awesome.
Kelsey, loves The Sound of
'Cause
Music.
it's
Julie Andrews
fabulous.
is like her person.
Yes.
See, I could take it or leave it.
Oh, I
I'm
don't
with
even know
you.
what to say to
Yeah,
you people.
I know.
Julie
Yeah.
Andrews is a gift from God. And that movie is so awesome. Oh, Fred, this is awesome.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thanks.
Now, the other thing is, Mike, you weren't here, but last week we were talking about some postal horror stories.
Yes.
Oh.
Sue lost or had one of her items stolen.
And they put other people's mail in the box to make it feel weighted.
So I heard you talking about
Yeah.
that, and not to cut off Fred's story,
No,
but
no.
the thing that made me think about that was that had to be done in the factory, didn't it? And it made me think about the fact of, is somebody just putting the wrong thing in the wrong box? Because I bought a battery for my lawnmower, a replacement battery. And when I got it, it had been repackaged when it got to my house. But you know more.
Well, it can't be because mine was stolen out and someone else's mail was put in it.
But it was
That doesn't happen at the factory. It's in my zip code, and it was a guy who lives 3 or 4 blocks from me.
It was
and
actual mail?
Yes,
Oh,
it was
I
mail.
misunderstood that it was mail.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was something else that was going to a guy down the street from you, but okay.
No.
I'm with
In
you.
the package.
In the
my
package.
stuff was gone, and
But you
his-
said the tape was retaped.
no,
like
the
the
tap
tape
wasn't
hadn't been-
broken.
hadn't been broken.
They had gotten into the bottom of the box, which was perforated, pushed it up, took my stuff out, put his mail in so it would feel weighted, and the person delivered it.
And now back to Fred's story.
Well, and it just follows off of Sue's. I got back from our trip that my wife Marie and I made a trip to Japan about 5 weeks ago. We came back.
It was awesome.
And we bought tons of souvenirs for our 2 sons, Shane and Noah. Shane's in New York City, Noah's in Washington, D.C. So we boxed up all the souvenirs we had and sent them off right away through the postal service to their homes. And Noah got his in 5 days, which I guess kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Shane never got his.
Oh,
And he's New York City.
And he's New York City. He's in Brooklyn. So it was very frustrating and disappointing for us.
Yeah.
Because we,
You
there are a
brought him
lot
from
of
halfway
personal
around the
things,
world.
right? A lot of personal things that we picked out specifically for him. So we were just devastated, and Postal Service couldn't find it. They didn't know what was going on. And then they started saying, well, it was delivered.
Sure it was.
And so then maybe it was picked up out of his locked lobby.
Yeah, of course.
But there's a whole bunch of things that you just couldn't think about it. So we were just so frustrated that we just finally just gave up on it, thought it would never show up. And we did what we just went to try and manage our sorrow. So,
right.
So we, started ordering the things that we bought or similar things online from Japan.
Oh, wow.
And we got in touch with our
was nice.
tour director in Japan.
Oh, gosh.
And
Fred.
she knew some of the things and where to get some things. So she bought some things and sent them to us.
How sweet.
So that took 4 weeks.
Wow.
For us to kind of rebuild all the things that we had lost. So we got our whole box together. And yesterday, Marie went to UPS.
Now we're talking.
So we're avoiding
Yes.
the Postal Service.
Well learned.
And took it to UPS and it's like, said, what guarantee do I have that this is going to be there? And like, oh, you're overreacting. This stuff always shows up. And she's like, you don't know our history here.
Yeah.
Okay. Because this wasn't the first thing that went missing.
Yes.
That we sent. So, she had it signed for where you has to be signed to get it. And so that's in the mail now
All
on the way to
right.
replace everything. However, yesterday afternoon, Shane sent me a picture of a letter that he got in the mail from the man who lives behind him.
No way.
Yep. And it says, Dear Shane, please see attached photo of your parcel that was mistakenly delivered to my address on 5th Street instead of yours on 4th Street.
Look at that.
Apologies for not contacting you sooner than 4 weeks later.
Oh, wow.
But I've been busy. Please,
Okay.
if you want to receive your package, please come by and pick it up. This has happened many times before, and I'm tired of delivering things to your address.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boy, it's a never-ending saga, Fred. So he's getting 2 boxes.
He opened all the original stuff. He opened it last night. We did sort of a Zoom call with him so we could see him open everything.
That's cool.
And then in 5 days, he's going to get
another one.
Duplicates.
There you go.
So now he'll have like 4 Tokyo hats instead of 2. 4 t-shirts instead of 2.
You just don't know. And the problem is, like on mine or Fred's, of course, eventually shows, is it mismanaged? Did someone steal it? Or did someone actually, it's just a mess.
I did get a Christmas card in March.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
We had
that showed up.
Somebody called and said they saved the date for their sister's wedding.
That was Shane's roommate.
That just happened to
Came-
us also
yeah.
a couple of days ago. We just got one.
Save the date
super
from
late.
something that already happened.
Here's save the date. She's already married.
I know we got to get going here and get to Sue's news, but I've been flipping through these books that Fred you just gave me.
Oh,
where did? And there's some great pictures in here as well. Where did all of these buildings go?
They took them down.
Yeah,
were
they tore
made
'em
of
down.
a temporary substance. It was almost like plaster of Paris. And they put them all up and took them all down. The only thing that
Wow.
remains is the art museum and the bird cage.
Right.
And that's it.
Isn't one of the fountains in Forest Park from it as well? The Cascades?
Yes.
Yeah.
Part of it, but not the whole thing. But the
Fountain
buildings,
part, or
they
like the
took it all
waterfall
down.
part.
Well,
wow,
and
that's interesting.
all those homes across the street from not all of them, but a lot of the homes across the street from the Chase Park Plaza were built for visiting dignitaries who were there. Because some of those, they had like governors and things from foreign countries who came over and they stayed in them.
It's fascinating.
It
Very
is.
interesting. Thanks for giving
you're
me.
welcome.
Let me look at those, Fred. Appreciate it.
I'm sorry. I
I'm
was waiting
done.
for you to hit an intro.
Oh,
I
this is-
wasn't even going to say anything.
I was waiting for you to say something, but sounds good.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
On this day in history, 58 years ago, that's in 1967, Fred.
Okay.
32-year-old Elvis Presley married 21-year-old Priscilla
Mm.
at the Aladdin Hotel in Vegas. They separated in 1971. Elvis filed for divorce in 1973. I remember reading somewhere that she said after she had given birth to Lisa Marie, it kind of threw him off. And in other words, he was looking at her as a mother figure to their daughter rather than a wife. And it kind of didn't work out for him.
You're not the young girl I married.
Yeah. Well, that
Just
and
saying.
some other stuff.
Yes.
And also on this day in history, 36 years ago, this cracks me up. In 1989, police in California were called to a jewelry store after employees reported a suspicious person. They're like, listen, there's something's going on in here. Turned out to be Michael Jackson shopping in disguise. He was just wore like a low hat but it was just, he's so weird. They called police.
Probably the monkey was a giveaway.
Well, it could be. Here are a few things. It's May 1st, people. Happy May Day.
Yay!
There are a few things to look forward to in May. In sports, of course, it's the NBA and the NHL playoffs. They continue. Kentucky Derby is Saturday. Then the Preakness on May 17th. The PGA Championship starts on May 15th. We've got the Indy 500 on May 25th.
Wow.
And the French Open starts on the same day.
Manure.
That's good stuff.
Uh-huh. In movies, Thunderbolts hits the theaters tomorrow. So does Alec Baldwin. Rust, you know, the movie that all that happened in.
Yeah, where he actually shot the cinematographer.
And it's more than 3 years after that event. They're also going to do a video on demand release of Rust on that same day. I wonder how, I don't know, people feel about that. I'm sure people will want to see it. But if you were Alec or if you were the woman that passed away, I don't know if you'd really.
I can only imagine what her family's thinking.
That's what I mean. I just, Also, Friendship with Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd opens this month. And of course, Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning happens on May 23rd, and they've got a new live action Lilo. Is it Lilo and Stitch?
Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah. And on TV, David Spade's new stand-up special is going to Prime next Tuesday. They've got Murderbot with Alexander Skarsgård. That premieres on Apple TV on the 16th. And then season 5 of Lego Masters. I've never watched that, Fred.
Yeah, no, I haven't.
It seems like a family-ish show. I can't believe they made it to this many seasons, but okay.
Is anybody a David Spade fan?
He amuses me on the podcast, but not a movie.
And his stand-up, when I've seen his stand-up, I'm like, I don't get it.
Is David Spade the guy that does the really good George Bush?
No.
No, who's that?
It's Dana Carvey.
Dana Carvey. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
They have a podcast, Dana Carvey and David Spade, and it's kind of adorable, the two of them together. But
I think he's funny in the Happy Madison movies.
Oh, there you
Adam
go.
Sandler's movies.
Okay.
Those roles fit him pretty well. But I haven't seen him in much besides that, probably.
You prefer that to Sound of Music?
Which is I
Depends
can't
which
even
one.
hear.
Depends which one.
Thank you.
It would be better with Julie Andrews.
Oh
in it,
my
right?
goodness.
There you go.
What wouldn't? And also Star Wars Day, of course, May the 4th, National Teachers Day, the 6th, and National Hamburger Day is May 28th.
Every day is National Hamburger Day.
You know, didn't we find a really good smash burger at Ott's Tavern when we were in Millstadt?
we did. Oh man, that
So
was good.
You know,
wait, where's
I know.
Ott's Tavern?
In
Millstadt.
Millstadt, Illinois.
Ah, okay.
I'm still salty about not being able to go to that one.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
Sorry about that.
Bitter
Somebody has
party
to
of
do
one.
the hard work back here.
Fred found this story. Okay, I need to mention this. Nobody on this show, Mike Elam, understands 3D printing.
Really?
0 people.
Why?
Look, even Ethan. None of us. What? You feed something in and suddenly you got a house? I don't get it.
I know it takes forever to do because my son Shane has a 3D printer.
Yes.
And he's like, hey, I'll make you a chip clip. And it's how long is it going to take? 7 hours. It's like, really? Really? 7 hours?
Okay, and a chip clip. Okay, I get that. You put a little plastic in, but buildings boggles my mind.
That is amazing.
Watching a 3D house being printed, that is pretty cool.
I mean,
and
what?
how they do that with it's all concrete when
Yeah.
they make the walls and everything. It's really cool.
Well, Starbucks is opening its first 3D printed store in this country, and they're doing it in Brownsville, Texas, using a computer-controlled robotic arm for construction. Now, the drive-through only location, it's just a drive-through, It's a unique experiment of Starbucks, and they've got like the ridged walls that look like, I guess, kind of stacked tubes. And they're giving it a shot. Construction experts see the store as an example of the industry exploring the use of 3D printing technology for commercial construction. Have you watched this one on TV, Mr. Show Off? I get it.
I have watched it. Well, I don't know that I understand, but I appreciate the technology. How about that?
Well, yes.
The small 3D printing things.
Okay. To get it.
Yeah. I mean, it's super expensive and it's early technology. I get that it's early technology. One day I think it'll be cool. It's not necessarily cool yet.
Yeah.
The house thing is cool, though.
Yeah. Well, Amazon is planning on adding 200 delivery stations in the U.S. to the tune of $4 billion by the end of 2026. The idea is to better serve rural areas and small towns with faster delivery times.
Okay.
And when the products are closer to the customers, obviously shipping is faster. And that's why it's become super fast in the city. I mean, you can order something and get it the next day. According to Amazon, each new delivery station will create about 170 jobs. And then I saw a story yesterday that UPS was reducing its workforce by 20,000 jobs.
Yeah.
And UPS will only deliver half of the amount of packages it has been doing for Amazon. And it's hoping to become smaller and more nimble. Just kind of get back control of what they have.
I bet delivering for Amazon is probably like selling a product through Walmart. They kind of own you at that point.
Yes.
It determines so much of everything.
Like
the crowd did not like that.
And finally, in Sue's News, we have today's random fact. Well, we've covered a little bit of this, but I'm going to mention it again. Here, instead of the most odd things found in lost luggage, we're going to talk about the most commonly found items in lost luggage. Underwear, women's size 10 pants, men's size 11 Nike sneakers, and iPhones.
iPhones?
Those are the most common?
Most common found.
I'm a size 11.
And lost. See?
Just saying.
There you have it.
So there is that website that you can go to and you can buy the auction items. Although we were looking at that when we were talking about it a couple of weeks ago, and it's not really that big a bargain.
No.
Yeah, you would think it's like, hey, you didn't pay anything to get that.
Exactly.
So this is 100% profit margin. Like, what are you doing? You ought to be able to make some money here.
Maybe they do pay for it. Like a here's a flat fee.
Well, I guess it's true.
Probably.
Maybe it could be something like that. Sue is doing the music today, which is really nice. So we are going to talk to Missouri Lieutenant Governor David Wassinger, who's had a full day. I'll just say it at that. We'll talk to him about what that means on the other side. It's Mike Elam in for Mark Reardon at 97.1 FM Talk.
Follow Mark on Twitter at Mark Reardon KFTK and Instagram at Mark Talk. This is the Mark Reardon Show. Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Not a bad commute, but we'll start up north where eastbound 270 is a little bit slow, headed for Lilac. Westbound 70 out of downtown, moderate volume. Past the airport, eastbound was slowing in that same area. But again, just moderate volume. Westbound 70, there was an earlier accident approaching 79. So some slow-moving traffic in there. And we've got southbound 55 slowing south of Arsenal through Rebus Barracks. Westbound 40 lines up approaching Hampton out through McCausland. But we have an accident eastbound approaching Hampton that's caused a delay back through Big Bend. And out west, 64 is a slow go from Highway N out through 70. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk. Well, you've saved money for retirement. This is good. But do you know the ins and outs of the tax code? I mean, none of us do. Not anybody who's just a normal person. Do you know how to make the most out of your Social Security? You've got to take advantage of what's available. And I, for one, have no idea what that would be. That's why I think it's such a great idea to go to a class that financial and tax architects put on. It's 3 hours. It's called Retirement Planning 101. And they take you, it's only one night, through all of this stuff. You can find out about how to maximize Social Security, how to find out how to make your money go further with the tax code. Now, it's free, but they want you to bring 3 canned goods for St. Louis Crisis Nursery. There are some openings this month, but you do need to register. So just call 314-947-2012 and find out what you can do. That's 314-947-2012.
Well, it seems it was just, I think, just about a year ago, last May, when I was attacked by those cicadas. It was a planned attack. I just completely believe it. And I think a couple of them I guess a couple of them did get up into my brain, because I can still hear them making that noise. It's worse than a gnat. No, again, air conditioning. Mother's Day is coming up. So how about if you're in need of an air conditioner and you want to keep your better half nice and cool, and everybody's tempers down in the heat, and live in a comfortable environment without cicadas in your head like mine, call me, Bart Inman. One easy number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. Or on the internet, bartinman.com. That is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com.
Hey, it's Tom Ackerman. Where do you go for your annual eye health examination? Ophthalmology Associates, of course. Doctors Greg Birdie and Ranjan Malhotra. Dr. Robert Bersati, he's the one I saw. Or Dr. Andrew Royer. They are available to you and are there to take care of all your vision needs at Ophthalmology Associates. They're on Manchester Road, a half mile west of 270. Your vision is their business at Ophthalmology Associates. In fact, many of their patients are doctors themselves. That's why they call themselves the doctors, Ophthalmology Associates. Are your eyes itchy and scratchy? It could be more than just allergies. They're the leaders in dry eye diagnosis and treatment. They're the leaders in LASIK and discussing those procedures. And if you're having difficulty reading or driving at night, you have glare from oncoming headlights, could be early signs of cataracts, and they can talk to you about multifocal lens implants. Ophthalmology Associates, youridoc.com.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ziprecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ziprecruiter.com/radio. ziprecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
4:30 is the time. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
97.1 FM Talk. The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Happy May Day, everybody. Welcome to May 1st. Hope you are enjoying your start of the brand new month. Very honored to be joined today with Missouri Lieutenant Governor David Wassinger, who's taking some time out of his busy schedule to join us on the phone. Lieutenant Governor, how are you, sir?
Well, it's been a busy day in Jefferson City. It's the National Day of Prayer today, so we had a lot of people praying for us today, and we need every prayer. So I hope your listeners are saying prayers that we can get through this next legislative session, which is going to end in a couple of weeks. So thanks for having me on.
Well, I appreciate the time. It's always good to have a Hannibal guy who makes his way all the way up to Jefferson City. So we appreciate your service. Hey, I wanted to ask you, because we talked about this a while back when I got an opportunity to interview you. This is your first elected office, and nothing like starting at the top, man. So you didn't go through the House and go through the Senate. You jumped right into lieutenant governor. And last time we talked, you were talking about how it's just been drinking from a fire hose through this first session because you've been going through a lot for the first time. How has the session gone so far for you? Because I got to tell you, they've gotten a lot more done than they have in the previous years, but you've got different people that you're working with now.
That's correct, Mike. So I just celebrated my 100th day in office this past week.
Congratulations.
I ran as a conservative outsider to shake things up in Jefferson City. You know, I in first office order of lieutenant governor in generations, as it has not sat in the state Senate. So it's been an eye-waking experience. I think things do need to be shaken up in Jefferson City. You know, I'm on a lot of boards and commissions. We've got 2 weeks to get a lot of big conservative ideas across the finish line. We'll see if we can get them done.
So I wanted to ask you about, you took a point of personal privilege earlier today. And I don't know how many of the senators knew this was coming, if any of them, but you took some time to thank your staff and everything that they've done to help you along the way. But you took some time also to basically tell the senators, we need to change the way things are getting done around here because, quite frankly, they're not getting done around here the way they should be. Tell me a little bit about what was your thought process leading up to that, and did they know that this was coming?
So the short answer is no, they didn't know it was coming. I got up this morning. I had been in Waynesville, Missouri yesterday at Fort Leonard Wood. Several people asked me. They've gone through the budgeting process. There are over 260 earmarks for special interest projects that are flowing through behind closed doors in the state Senate last week, and they'll again take place again this week. And frankly, it is exactly what your listeners think of. It's lack of transparency, and it just kind of we need to change the rules in the Senate. You know, our Constitution in Missouri, the marijuana amendment alone, whether you like it or not, is in the Constitution. It's longer than the United States Constitution.
Yeah.
So our Missouri Constitution, because they don't get their job done in the state legislature, is probably 50 times longer than the United States Constitution. So I just mentioned, we need to look at these rules. I'll give you an example, Mike. They debated for 2.5 hours earlier this week. I preside over the state Senate. You have minutes prepared for the day before. It referenced President Wassinger presiding. They debated for 2.5 hours whether or not I should say President David Wassinger presiding rather than just President Wassinger presiding.
You're kidding.
We wasted 2.5 hours of everyone's lives in that state Senate debating over whether or not my first name should be in the journal or in the minutes. So you tell me the system's not broken. So your listeners, when they come in and hear those stories, I'm new to this. I see that. Like a couple of the state senators are upset with it. I ran to shake things up in Jefferson City. So, I made an announcement today in the state Senate. This system is broken.
So what kind of feedback did you get from the senators once you announced that?
Well, I think the more conservative senators recognize that. I actually wasn't the one person that kind of started. It was the state senator that was I read a news story about him. He had been up all night on Tuesday night looking at all these earmarks, and he was just livid over it, lack of transparency. I read an article, and frankly, I quoted what was in the newspaper about him, and I joined in him. And I think the more conservative members of the legislature that want to get things done, are all for me. The more establishment, swampy creatures, they probably despised every word that I said up on the Senate dais.
So tell me a little bit about the rules that you would like to see change. What do you think is really stopping, in particular, the Missouri Senate, which is a more deliberative body, to be fair, than the House? But what do you think is holding them up and needs to be addressed?
So we've had a supermajority of Republicans for years in the Missouri State Senate. We never get these big conservative ideas across the finish line. And part of that is you allow 1 or 2 or 3 state senators that are bought and paid for by the lobbyists and special interests. They will gum things up. Unlike, for example, the U.S. Senate, I don't want to get too far into the weeds. You can file a motion for cloture where, or to break a filibuster, you need 60 votes. Well, we don't have that in the Missouri Senate. And I think I think some people are going to come into my office in the next week or two. We're going to begin looking at these Senate rules and see if we can make some revisions to make Missouri great again and get these big conservative ideas across the finish line.
I'm sure the Democrats are probably hearing that and saying, I am not a fan of that. As the minority party, I want to be able to hold things up. Have they said anything to you?
No, the Senate Democrats have not said anything to me. But again, they're in the small minority in the legislature. I can ran as a conservative outsider, not as a liberal Democrat. President Trump endorsed me to shake things up in Jefferson City. So this morning, I said things aren't working in the state Senate. We need to shake things up. We need to look at the Senate rules and see if we can get these big conservative ideas across the finish line. So the next 2 weeks will be telling, Mike, as to whether or not we can get Amendment 3 repealed and replaced. We can get Second Amendment issues addressed. Proposition A, which is the sick leave and these minimum wage issues that should have been statutorily done rather than through the Missouri Constitution. DEI, we need to get rid of that in the state of Missouri. So these big conservative ideas need to get across the finish line in the next 2 weeks, and we'll see if it happens.
We're talking with Missouri Lieutenant Governor David Wassinger. So you just rattled off all the big things that have been talked about since last year, basically. And I know the first part of this year's session, they wanted to kind of take all the low-hanging fruit, or at least that's what I was told. They wanted to get all the low-hanging fruit that they thought they could passed and done, and they wanted to hold on some of the more controversial things that they felt were going to bog down the Senate. Tell me about, not to really ask you to do handicapping, but I'm going to ask you to do some handicapping. Out of all the stuff that you just laid out, how do you think those things are going to go, being that you only have 2 weeks left in the session?
Well, I think these Republicans, even the what I would call, maybe Republicans in name only, or the more swampy Republicans, are going to be really under a microscope. And this Amendment 3, the repeal and replace, that is going to be looked at very, very hard. And I'm cautiously optimistic that'll get done.
When do you think they would go to put that on the ballot?
So it gets passed. I'd have to walk through, Missouri Senate passed that. It gets approved by the legislature. I don't know if that goes back on in August or if the governor selects as to when that's put on the ballot.
Okay. So we've got that one. So the minimum wage, it seemed like, from what I'm understanding, people don't necessarily want to touch the wage part of it, but it was more about the other parts of this bill that, generally speaking, anytime you put a ballot issue on, the majority of voters, for better or worse, basically read the headline, and they don't really dig down beyond that. So a lot of people were talking about what the minimum wage bill really did in terms of paid time off for small business owners and how this was going to affect small business. Do you think that one is actually going to make it across the finish line?
We're running out of time in 2 weeks. Again, this is a creation of the legislature not getting things done. Whether you're for or against the minimum wage or sick leave, it should be through Missouri state statute, not through the Missouri Constitution. Similarly, marijuana amendment, gambling, you may or may not be for it, but it should not be embedded in the Missouri Constitution. Rather, the Missouri State Senate and the Missouri House of Representatives should have gotten their job done and gotten these ideas across the finish line, rather than have these multi-billionaires from the East and West Coast come in and fund these initiative petition reforms to amend our Constitution. For example, online gaming, that changes. 5 years from now, that's now in our Constitution. Technology changes a lot. Got a lot of lobbyists and special interests that were behind that. You have to go back in, and rather than just go through the legislature, now you have to go through and do another constitutional amendment. So if you look at the Missouri Constitution, it is literally probably 50 times longer than the United States Constitution because the legislature has not been getting their job done.
I loved how you actually did show and tell today. You held that up and showed the senators, here's what the Missouri Constitution looks like. Here's what the United States Constitution looks like. So it's just kind of amazing of where things have gone, where things are, I guess, right now. I appreciate you being very forward in everything, being a leader on how things need to go, trying to make the legislature more efficient, if you will, sort of doge of rules. How about that? So
I think that's right, Mike. So we need your help. We really need you, your listeners, and you to call your legislators. And they go from campaign conservatives, and then when they end up in that Capitol, they end up turning into something else. So we really need your listeners and the grassroots folks to reach out to their respective legislators and tell them to get these big conservative ideas across the finish line in the next couple of weeks.
Well, Lieutenant Governor, we appreciate you taking the time on jumping on with us today, and I'd like to follow up with you after the session is over and see if you can handicap how you think things went. Is that fair?
I'd be honored to do it, Mike. Thank you for having me on.
You got it. Hope you have a great weekend. That is Missouri Lieutenant Governor David Wassinger, who's joining us today. We're going to talk with George Rosenthal on the other side of ThrottleNet, and you're probably going to end up like I am and say, yeah, that password thing, I should probably figure that out. Because it sounds like if you're a good hacker, you can get into most of my stuff in, 30 seconds or less. I guess the 1234556 was a bad password. We'll talk to George on the other side. It's Mike Elam for Mark Reardon today on 97.1 FM Talk.
Baby, give it up. Can you give it? Can you give it? Give it up. Come on, baby, I need your love. Baby, give it. Do you know I want it, baby?
Catch anything you missed today by getting the show podcast at 971talk.com.
Give it up some of your love. Come on and play the game of love.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
There is an accident on eastbound 6440 approaching Hampton, and they've got the 3 left lanes blocked. Now, this has created a parking lot jam back past 170. Now, MoDOT reporting an accident westbound 6440, really close to Kings Highway, and that's created a jam as well. If you want to take 70, it looks better. There's moderate volume at Jennings Station Road and a little bit at, it looks better. Just a minute ago, it was slow past the airport, but it's looking better through there. There is moderate volume headed for 79. Out west, we've got another accident. This one westbound 64, really near Clarkson, just past there, and that's created a jam. Further west, it's a slow go past Winghaven out through 70. Southbound 270, slow pockets Page, and that goes on down through Gravois now. There was an accident reported at 44. It looks like it was eastbound 44 ramping on to 270 on that ramp. And we've got 55 lined up south of 44 through the construction zone at Bates. So it's one of those times. And if you're headed into Illinois, there's some volume on the bridge as well. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Annie Fry here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They are the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for Underdog Fantasy. Download the app. Go to the App Store, download Underdog Fantasy. It's one of the best places to make entries, certainly on all sports, but in particular, during the basketball playoffs, they have an extender promo. That's the way to play your way into increasingly bigger boosts each round of the playoffs. And the longer the series, the bigger the boost. Millions of fans have won billions making plays on Underdog. You could be next. So if you haven't downloaded the app, download. You got to pick your username, your password, then pick whether a player is going to go higher or lower on a stat line. Points, assists, rebounds, home runs, and so much more. And once your entry feels good, you can play with as little as $1. If you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. Here's how to get started. Download the Underdog app. Sign up with the promo code MARKR. That unlocks a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Again, the promo code is MARKR. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/extend.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 800-GAMBLER or visit ncbgambling.org.
Public schools, like public libraries, should be free and open to all. Open enrollment allows parents to choose the school that's the best fit for their children. Maybe another school has a wider curriculum, is bigger or smaller. Maybe a kid is being bullied and would be more comfortable at another school. 75% of parents favor open enrollment. Open enrollment programs now exist in 43 states, and Missouri should join them. Our next-door neighbor, Kansas, has one of the strongest open enrollment policies in the nation. Kansas parents are trusted with choices and options, while Missouri parents must move out of their home to change public schools. And it's a trend. Nationwide, the percentage of students going to their chosen public school has steadily increased. Assigning kids to schools based on their zip code is the old way. Open enrollment is a better way. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
When you have Rhino Shield on your house, it does a couple of things for you. It beautifies the house and it protects it from the harshest elements. And boy, do we see those here in the greater St. Louis area. You get instant curb appeal. It will stick to anything. Rhino Shield is the answer, no matter whether you're painting a home or a church or a business or a condo, because it's 100% waterproof. It takes care of the outdoor maintenance on whatever is on the outside of your home. The brick, the block, aluminum, steel, stucco. They can put this on with the 2 to 3 coat process. They're there about a week, and they do a great job. A lot of businesses have done it in the area. Several Firestones have done that. Vantage Credit Union over the years, Harlan Packaging down in DeSoto. Call Darren today and schedule your free estimate. 877-25-RHINO, easy to remember phone number, or go online today at 877-25-RHINO.com.
Hey, it's Annie. Join me for the 5th Annual Chairman's Golf Tournament on Monday, May 12th at Tamarack Golf Club in Shiloh, Illinois, benefiting the St. Clair County GOP. The 4-person scramble includes awesome prizes and lunch. We're broadcasting live. Learn more at 971talk.com/events.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
We get it almost every night. And when that moon gets so big and bright, it's a supernatural delight.
It's Mike Elam sitting in for Mark Reardon today as Ethan's watching me just sing along with King Harvest and dancing in the moonlight. I do love it when Sue picks the songs, because this is like the songs of my childhood. When I was a little guy, my parents used to be in a bowling league, and I would run around the bowling alley, and this was the music that was always playing. So it was kind of cool. Hey, want to get George Rosenthal on the horn with us here. He is the owner of ThrottleNet. George, how are you, sir?
Good to talk to you. Thanks so much for having me on.
My pleasure. It's my first opportunity to get the opportunity to talk with you. I have heard your name so many times all around this building, as a matter of fact. And I want to talk to you about the Google stuff and things that are going on, because I don't get all of the different things that's going on in the Justice Department saying you got to sell Chrome, and I don't get all that stuff. But I want to leave time at the end of this, because Fred was telling me about talking about passwords and sent me this whole big thing about how quickly hackers can get into your stuff. So give me a quick overview on this Justice Department fight with Google that's going on. And then I want to follow up after that.
Sure. I mean, well, Google, as everybody knows, is the biggest there is. Okay, they're controlling pretty much everything on search engines on the internet across the world, not just in America. They also had multi-billion-dollar deals with manufacturers and people like Apple and Android and any type of systems that they built so that they would be the default web browser. So every time you bought a device, whenever you use your browser, it would automatically pop up Chrome. And that was something they paid for. And that was to eliminate competition, such as putting Safari in, which is Apple's own browser, as the default, or when using Android, not using Firefox or DuckDuckGo or anything else like that. So they've really dominated the entire industry, and they've done it through what they are calling, the government's calling, a breach of antitrust, which they have already lost a lawsuit in a federal court. Now they're having a new trial just to see what the remedies are going to be to fix this whole antitrust breach. So they have actually been found guilty of breaching antitrust laws. So that's already happened. Now it's a matter of what the fallout's going to be. And if they have to sell Chrome, it's going to be a very big hit, because that is the basis of everything that they're doing online. Now, of course, they're the number one search engine. That's going to take a lot to overcome, but they are literally locked out all of their competition.
Didn't we go through all this with Microsoft Internet Explorer way back when?
Absolutely. We sure did. The exact same thing's happening again, only now it's much, much bigger, because back then the internet was so new. Now you're talking about something that runs the world. And that's, they're the only game in town when it comes to that. They're also, they have, because everything is so Google centric, they can then up their prices for all of their advertising online. So when you see a sponsored ad on a search, that's something they're charging a lot more because they can, versus like a Bing or somebody, any other search engine that's out there. So they really have cornered the market, but they've done it in a way that isn't through basically a better product or service. They've done it in a way that has bought their way into kicking the competition out.
Well, I want to follow up on that as we get down the road and find out what this fallout's going to be. But I'm kind of pushed for time. So I want to talk to you real quick about this password thing, because I have a feeling, George, that Mike's data is in jeopardy. That's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, passwords are very frustrating for everyone out there. They're also extremely important. Someday we'll get to the whole, full biometrics, and we'll have chips in our hands or whatever, and that may be the future. I don't know.
Hands or heads, could be either.
Hands or heads, either one. But right now it's a matter of trying to memorize 100 different passwords for 100 different sites you go to. And now, you can basically do through social engineering. I can crack a password pretty quick by looking at your Facebook page and seeing what kind of dogs you have and what their names are, and trying to figure out your dogs are now your passwords. So there's a lot of things out there that everybody puts out on social media. It's not thinking it's going to harm them, but through social engineering, it's not hard to crack a password unless you've done it the right way. And just changing an O to a 0 in your password is not going to do it. So now it's all about passphrases. It's all about writing a sentence like you normally would, a capital letter, some spaces, some punctuation, and actually writing a sentence out the exact same way you would normally with a pen and paper. And then, of course, it's making sure you don't use the same password on every single system you use. Like the password on your bank should not be the password at work. So if somebody cracks your work password, now they're in your personal banking system. Do not do that. And I know it's very hard to remember all these passwords. So I would highly recommend using a password vault. And there's a couple different good competitors out there, but the one I use, and we are not a reseller of this, but the one I use is called LastPass, LASTPASS. And it goes on your phone, your tablet, your web browser, everywhere you use the internet. And all you have to have is one master password for LastPass or whatever password vault you use, and it will create all of the future passwords for you. You don't even know what they are. And it will pre-populate that in your browser and on your phone and so forth. So it's very important. Number one, don't use the same password on all systems that you use. Number two, switch from a password to a passphrase. And three, look into a password vault type software system that can help you manage all of your passwords.
George, that's awesome. Thank you. LastPass is what I'm going to use. I'm so much better at remembering phrases that this makes me happy instead of adding whatever at the end. So hooray.
Absolutely. Any phrase like that can take up to hundreds of years to crack, but it's also going to be easier for you to remember. I'm a huge Seinfeld fan, so I use a lot of lines that Kramer used to say. Or you can use, your favorite song lyric, your favorite movie line. Maybe it's a positive aspirational phrase like "It's going to be a good day today!" ! Something that is a phrase using using spaces, capital letters, and not just changing a 1 to an exclamation point or an exclamation point to a 1. Don't do that.
George, that's awesome. Thank you so much for all of that. I wish I had more time. I could
Absolutely.
actually spend an hour with you, brother.
Yes.
That's George
Absolutely.
Rosenthal. He is the owner of ThrottleNet, and we are going to talk with Erik Lindbergh. Yep, that Lindbergh on the other side of 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Accident eastbound 6440 approaching Hampton. And they've had the left lanes blocked, and that continues to be the case. We just have a parking lot jam behind this. And if you are eastbound on 64, we're not used to seeing this time of day. Only one right lane is getting by. Parking lot jam back on the other side of 170. Southbound 170 jams headed for 64 from Olive. We've got southbound 270 slow pockets from Page down through Gravois. 55 is jammed headed for Bates. 44 is slowing in front of the Arch. We've got volume eastbound and westbound headed on and off of the Poplar Street Bridge downtown. And westbound 64 lines up near Highway N. This report is brought to you by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. If you need a new garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are now open for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Enter now, overheaddoorstlewis.com. overheaddoorstlewis.com. I'm Sue Thomas. That's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk.
Are you looking for an easy way to get a daily detox? Active Liver is the easy way to get a daily detox. To keep you healthy and feeling your best, you can find Active Liver in the vitamin aisle at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
As the old saying goes, size matters.
At Morgan & Morgan, we have over 1,000 lawyers and nearly 6,000 people on staff.
But at the core, this is and always has been a family business.
Our family watching out for your family.
Call us or email us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even on a Saturday or a Sunday.
And if you ever have a problem, call our mom.
Morgan & Morgan.
For the people and your family.
Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Rain can be a big headache if you have a leaky basement. Mark Cox here for Home Shield Foundation Repairs. This is a local family-owned company. Matt Hayes will come to your house and let the basement speak for itself, and he promises to match the solution to the issues and not upsell you on stuff that's not needed. They can do waterproofing, they can do crack repair, sump pump replacement, and even fix bowing and leaning walls with a lifetime warranty. Go to their website today. It's homeshieldfoundationrepairs.com.
The Diamond Shop graduation sale. All watches are 20% off, even Movado. Men's jewelry is 40% off. 40% off Pirelli G and gold fashion jewelry. Everything else is 30% off. The Diamond Shop.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000. That's 314-500-5000. All on the free Odyssey app.
In the administration. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. One of President Trump's top advisors could get a new assignment.
Mike Waltz is out as national security advisor, but is being nominated by President Trump to serve as ambassador at the UN. The president announced the move in a social media post. Secretary of State Marco Rubio will simultaneously be the interim national security advisor. The move follows weeks of pressure on Waltz to step down, following revelations his office accidentally added a journalist to a private text chain about sensitive military operations against the Houthis in Yemen. President Trump was in need of a new nominee to serve at the UN after New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik's nomination was pulled because of the Republican slim majority in the U.S. House.
Fox's Jared Halpert at the White House. The Justice Department has asked the Supreme Court to strip temporary legal protections from 350,000 Venezuelans. The Federal Appeals Court had earlier rejected the administration's request. The emergency appeal comes on the same day a federal judge in Texas ruled the administration's efforts to deport Venezuelans under an 18th century law are illegal.
Back in March, the president issued the proclamation claiming the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua was invading the U.S. The judge's ruling the first formal injunction against the rarely used Alien Enemies Act, the case stemming from illegal immigrants housed at a South Texas immigration detention center who are awaiting deportation.
Fox's Jeff Manasso, the two cases are not related. Police in Illinois say the driver of a car that rammed through a building used for an after-school camp, killing 3 children and a teenager, was not under the influence of drugs or alcohol and may have had a medical emergency. Wall Street, the Dow added 83, closing higher for the 8th consecutive day. America's listening to Fox News.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Another funky looking sky across St. Louis, and we continue to watch scattered showers and thunder showers. Nothing severe, but they'll be around until about 8 o'clock tonight. In the 60s this evening, 55 for the low, mostly cloudy skies. Friday, a mixed clouds and sunshine. A couple of showers possible, mainly during the afternoon hours on Friday, 69 degrees. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Hi, this is Steve Butts with the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. I know we're all experiencing sticker shock when you get your insurance premium. Now more than ever, you need an independent insurance agent to find the best value for your family's insurance needs. Crawford Butts, family owned and operated for more than 60 years. Please give us a call at 314-752-2500 or at crawfordbutts.com.
I've been raving about New Perspective Senior Living now for about 7 months. It's hard to believe they've been open for about 6 months. I was there getting a tour before they even opened, and it looked fantastic, which is why I recommend to you, if you've heard me raving about New Perspective, take a tour. They'd love to have you over. They'll buy you lunch. You can tour the facility. These are 1- and 2-bedroom apartments that are absolutely beautiful. Everything is new. You're going to feel that. They also have a great staff. They have events that they will, have either on site or you have transportation to take you. It's a friendlier approach to senior living. That's what they call it. And they have independent living, they have assisted living, and a memory care facility. They have a state-of-the-art AI fall detection system, top-notch technology at New Perspective Senior Living. So if you'd like a different option, maybe your mom and dad are looking for a place. How do you find it? In Weldon Spring, you go to New Perspective Senior Living, npseniorliving.com. Do me a huge favor. Tell them I sent you along. New Perspective, the friendlier approach to senior living.
When's the last time you gave your home's exterior a little love? Hi, it's Kim. And if your siding is cracking, it's fading, or just doesn't stand up to our St. Louis weather, it's time to call Lakeside Renovation and Design because they're experts in James Hardy siding, which is this durable, low-maintenance option, and it looks beautiful. Plus, you have customizable colors and textures, and so you can give your home a completely new look while protecting it for decades. Don't wait until the small problems turn into big ones. Visit lakesidearty.com to schedule your free consultation.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Land Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Land Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, D-R-U-R-Y, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Land Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
What's your favorite four-letter word? Chances are you've said it more than a few times dealing with this crazy world we live in. But at Compass Retirement Solutions, our four-letter word of choice is hope. Hope for a better tomorrow. And hope that your retirement plans don't take a back seat. You've watched inflation soar, and maybe your retirement future feels a little uncertain right now. But all hope is not lost. Find out exactly how much risk you're still taking with your investments. Find out how you may be able to save big on taxes. And find out how having a written retirement plan just might give you the hope you've been looking for. Call today to set up a meeting. 314-373-1598. That's 314-373-1598. Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax advice. Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory firm in Missouri and Illinois. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends Mark and Neil Gelman from the Gelman team of eXp Realty. Selling your home, every situation is unique. Find the best options that are right for you from the real estate team who offer more options. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. Lighting it up. Mark Reardon on 97.1 FM Talk.
It's Mike Elam sitting in for Mark Reardon today. I believe that's ELO.
It is.
There you go. You gotta love that. Was that in a show?
Turned to Stone?
Turned to Stone. I was thinking that was in a. Do you know what I think that actually was a movie that it was used in? Xanadu.
It wouldn't be surprised.
I think it was. I think it was in the movie Xanadu with Olivia Newton-John. And that, can I just say to God and everybody, I am so embarrassed that I may know that. That is so bad. Hey, we are very excited to be joined by the Honorable Mayor of Grafton, Illinois. Mike Morrow is joining us today. Mike, how are you? Mike, are you there? Hey, there you are.
Yeah, Mike, how are you? I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. We really appreciate you being flexible with us. Thank you very much for making time. Sue was telling me all about everything that's going on with Grafton, with the National Memorial of Military Ascent, and what you guys have going on out there. I want to talk to you about that, but I got to tell you, one of the things that my kids will always remember as part of their childhood, every time we went apple picking, of course, I'm a St. Charles guy, so right. How do you escape St. Charles? You go to Grafton and you ride the ferry. How's the ferry doing these days?
The ferry's doing fantastic. It's operation again. And as you know, we operated only during the tourist season, basically started last week, and it'll run all the way through into November. And what we're doing, though, is we want to have that ferry run 365 days a year, 16 hours a day. So to that end, in 2023, we received a $250,000 grant from IDOT.
Wow.
And IDOT wanted us, well, initially it was a smaller grant because we were just wanting to study to operate the Grafton Ferry. Well, they increased it to $250,000 because ferries are so, to this region, essential, because we've got the Grafton Ferry, you've got the Brussels Ferry, and then you've got the Golden Eagle Ferry. So we did a regional ferry study. And that regional ferry study came from that. Over a year of study, we had a group come in out of Seattle. And following that IDOT-funded ferry vehicle assessment, in the summer and fall of 23, the ferry task force consisted of a bi-state committee, including Grafton, St. Charles, and Calhoun County, and we have identified the need to operate the Grafton Ferry year-round, 16 hours a day.
So when is that supposed to start? Or have you gotten approval for that?
We're working through that because what we're doing, that's just the recommendation that came out. And the benefits of that are obvious, but it's going to be year-round ferry service, greatly would benefit the bi-state region by enhancing state and city incomes from tourism and providing time and dollar savings for commuters, not just in Illinois, but also in Missouri. This is a bi-state task force that we have put together. And we've come up with a plan, and that plan is moving forward as we speak.
You know, what's great about that is most of the ferries that I'm reading about, not just here, but kind of around the country, they're falling away. They're not finding ways to be economically feasible anymore. So I'm really excited that yours is going well.
Well, I've got to tip my hat to IDOT, because IDOT, there's a ferry in Cave Run, Illinois, and also Missouri, the same thing with MoDOT, where they're supplementing operational costs for those privately owned ferries. And what we have here in Calhoun in county, we have a privately owned, the Grafton Ferry is privately owned by the Calhoun Ferry Company. The problem they've got is that they cannot access federal funds. So in order to do that, you have to have a partnership with a governmental agency. There steps in Grafton and also the Port District of that we're part of. And so what that we're looking at is that the Calhoun Ferry Company will sell the ferry and the barge to the city of Grafton. We already own both of the landing sites on Missouri and in Illinois. And then we would seek additional operational funds. Then there's a long formula we went as far as cars and everything else. But what makes it work is that seeking operational funds from the state of Missouri and also from the state of Illinois, IDOT and MoDOT, in the tune of about $160,000 from each of them in the year one, running down to zero in year 5. That helps us get started. And then the ferry will be running after, that, but it'll be going the whole time. So we're working through that, and we're excited about that. And we are now at the point where we've just got a hold of our state rep, C.D. Davidsmeyer, and we're looking on the Missouri side. St. Charles is working that, and we're looking for the funding. And but IDOT and MoDOT have been very helpful with us.
Hey, Mike, how many people take the ferry on a daily basis? I'm sure you've done a study about that.
We've got a study. I've got all the figures down here on that. And most of the ones, though, that when you're looking at are we don't do commuters on the Grafton Ferry because we don't run a schedule for commuters. We only go Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Right.
But you're talking about 500 to 600 cars a day coming across. So, and if we expanded that out, we ran the studies, and we did this team that came in from Seattle, they took a survey of the entire region, people riding the ferries, handing out cards, going to the QR codes and doing the study, and found out that there is a grave need to help those people commute. I mean, when you're coming across, Mike, to do your apple picking, instead of driving all the way around, you're going to take the ferry.
It's a lot more fun.
It is a lot more fun.
It makes the adventure so much fun. Yeah.
Calhoun Ferry Company does a fantastic job of operating the ferry, and everybody loves it. And our businesses in tourism, we depend on that ferry. You can talk to the businesses in town. On a good weekend, we get 20,000 cars a day coming through Grafton.
Wow.
So it's a lot, and a lot of those are coming across on the river.
Well, we have a St. Charles County Port Authority, and I'm wondering if there's a way that we may be able to help work that through. So
we're already working with them, Mike Hurlburt and the crew over there in St. Charles, the mayor and everybody. We are in sync, and everyone has agreed to this plan. That's why we're now turning to the legislation piece of it and moving forward.
Well, I want to turn from your, I guess I started to say change your hat, but I guess it's add a hat. So you have your mayoral hat, so put your colonel hat on, retired colonel, Army colonel.
All right.
Tell me a little bit about the event that is coming up on Monday, May 12th, because this just sounds amazing.
Well, it is amazing. And as you know, we're putting the National Memorial Military Ascent, 12 life-size bronze statues. 5 of those will be climbing the cliffs, 6 down below in support positions, replicating the climb that the 2nd Ranger Battalion took on the opening morning of D-Day on Omaha Beach. 225 Rangers climbed those cliffs under heavy German fire to take out the guns. and 77 were killed in action, and 152 of them were wounded.
Wow.
I mean, you know, this is beyond comprehension these days, and it was key. It was key to the entire D-Day landings, because if they wouldn't have done that, they were almost at the point of canceling D-Day because of all the casualties on Omaha Beach. And if they wouldn't have taken that out, that might have tipped the hat. So this is what we're going to be honoring in the form of the memorial, and we are excited to say that the first statue is coming from North Carolina Bronze in North Carolina, our foundry, and it will arrive here this week coming up, and we'll have the grand unveiling on the 12th of May, Monday at 1 o'clock at the Visitor Center.
Wow.
I just wanted to tell Mike Elam, Mike Morrow, about the actual cliff itself. So it's one of those bluffs. Picture yourself driving into Grafton from Missouri, and it's one, and the height of that, Mike said, is really almost exactly what it was
At
on
Omaha
the beach.
Beach.
And
Wow.
that's what gave him the idea of having this memorial this way. Mike Morrow, it's been quite a process to get these statues done. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, and if you go on our webpage, the graftonmemorial.org, you can look and under programs, and you can watch them pouring the first statue, going through the process. But what we had to do is last June, the Foundry came out here on D-Day, and we had a big celebration and everything out at the Visitor Center. And we had the 2nd Ranger Battalion of St. Louis, which is a reenactment group, and they reenact Pointe du Hoc. So we've linked up with these gentlemen and ladies, and they are helping us to pull this together. They are partners with us. And what they did was we got young men, in some cases, active duty soldiers that came as far away as Seattle to come here to participate. And they dressed them in World War II gear. They took the pose of the soldier that they were going to be replicating, for example, climbing or shooting or whatever. And the Foundry personnel came out with a digital scanner, and they digitally scanned those models with that gear. They took that scans, took them back, and it took about 2 hours per model, and they would go back, then they put it through the computers. They sent it out to Portland, Oregon, where there they put it through a 3D printer.
3D printer.
3D printers, and they did out sections and sent those castings back to North Carolina. And from there, they cast the pieces, put them together. And this week, the first statue, which is the Radio Man, which replicates the Native American code talkers on Omaha Beach and their service to our country, is going to be here. And they're putting the patina on it and everything. It's going to ship this next week, I believe on the 6th, and we get it in place and everything at the Visitor Center, and we will have the grand unveiling on that Monday.
Are you actually going to mount some of these in the side of the hill?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. There'll be 5 of them that will be actually mounted into the cliff. The Tarleton Corporation of St. Louis, Mike Jones is our project engineer. Jamie Henderson of Henderson Associates in Edwardsville, Illinois is the architect. And we've got SMS engineers in St. Louis have done all the LIDAR surveys, the topographical surveys. These statues weigh about 300 pounds. Yeah. And what they'll do is you'll have one that's going to be up there. For example, they'll be on the cliff. We'll have steel ropes coming down, but they will have about maybe 2 foot, 3 foot rods coming out of their hands that they'll drill a hole, and that was what will hold them in with some type of glue. I'm not sure how they're going to do it, but we're going to be doing pull tests here shortly on the rock itself to make sure that how deep we need to plant them and everything. So it's moving. And this first one will be one that's going to be a base position. So the Radio Man was cast in a kneeling position, and he's talking on the radio, and we actually have a World War II radio that they use. All the gear is World War II authenticated by the 2nd Ranger Battalion. And it's just fantastic. So what else we're excited about is that on the 12th of May, we've got the National Commander of the American Legion, the new National Commander, his staff, the State Commander of Illinois and his staff coming to the unveiling, and they will be doing the unveiling of that statue.
The unveiling will be Monday, May 12th. It will be at 1 o'clock. And
1
if
o'clock.
you would like to go to the Grafton Visitor Center, you can watch.
And you can
but
find
you have
out.
To park, you've got to park at Raging Rivers, and we got a shuttle coming because we don't have that much room. We
That's
expect a
good
large
point.
crowd.
Okay.
But if you want to learn more about this, you can go to graftonmemorial.org. You've got a great website here. It's
Thank
got
you.
some pictures. It's got the About Us that's on there. You could see what he's talking about with the first pour of that's actually on the website. Mike, I got to know real quick before I let you go,
Yeah.
where did this idea come from?
Lynn and I have been to Omaha Beach 3 times when I retired, and I was honored to give a speech on Omaha Beach on D-Day.
Wow.
And in uniform to a Bedford Association group. And when we were back in 2019 after the 75th, we were driving by the cliffs, and I looked, I said, "Oh, look, Point du Hoc." And she said, "Oh, you know what?" And we talked, and then when I became mayor, the city council appointed a commission, and the commission, we worked through all the options, and we came up with this to support it. And we put a 501c3 together with, we've got, the board of directors. So all of your donations are charitable deductions, and you get a deduction for that. And we are over $3.5 million right now that we've got raised, and we need another almost $3 million to get this finished. So we're saying, help us get over the top and help us get to the end.
Well, that's an amazing project. And I noticed you also have a fundraiser at the American Legion. I know it's a ways off at June 6th, but that will be here before you know
correct.
it.
That's going to be on D-Day. It's going to be on June the 6th, 2025. It's from 5:30 to 9:30. We're going to have dinner. We're giving away $1,000 naming opportunity for your name to get on our memorial wall.
Wow.
And what we've got are founding sponsors. If you want to be a founding sponsor, $1,000, get your name on the wall, or your loved one's name, or your father's name, grandfather, whoever you want. We're only going to take 5,000 of those names, and they will be wrapped around the bottom of the memorial itself. And then from that, walking down to the Trail of Valor to the museum is going to be another wall of sustaining members. And so that's one of the things we have in place to help us sustain this. But your name, your father's name, whoever's name, forever.
That sounds like an amazing way to pay tribute, especially if you had a World War II vet in your family or just a vet in your family. That sounds like an amazing way to honor your family's service.
Yes.
Well,
and there'll
Mike,
also be information on them in the computer inside our museum too.
Mike, I appreciate you taking the time. This just sounds like an amazing project that's going on. It's Monday, May 12th. Is the day that's going to happen all over at Grafton. Go on to graftonmemorial.org to learn more information. And I love the fact of talking about that ferry running 365. Man,
well, we're working hard on it, and keep us in your thoughts and prayers.
We're going to try to make sure that both sides of the river can actually work together. I don't know if Missouri and Illinois work that well on too many things, but this is one I think we can all get behind and try to make that thing work. At East West Gateway Council of Governments, we work together on all the transportation funding that comes in. So maybe we can find a special project to be able to get there.
That would be great.
Well, Mike, we appreciate your service to the country. We appreciate your service to Grafton and to the area. And we appreciate you taking some time. And it's always nice to have Sue's relatives on the radio.
Oh, and I love Sue's picks for the music. Sue, you're doing a great job.
Thank you for that, Mike.
She is.
I totally appreciate
it's
that.
It's 70s flashback day, man. So we're
great.
having a good one. Mike Morrow, we appreciate you taking the time, and good luck with everything going on in Grafton. Sounds like it's a place we should be headed after the rain stops this weekend.
You got it, Mike. Thank you.
That is Mike Morrow. We are going to talk with Erik Lindbergh. He's actually stuck in traffic right now. Wouldn't it be ironic if he was stuck on Lindbergh? I'm just making fun. He is going to join us in a little bit. We are a couple of years away from the 100th anniversary, believe it or not, of the Lindbergh flight. It's Mike Elam in for Mark Reardon today at 97.1 FM Talk.
The Mark Reardon Show
on 97.1 FM Talk. Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads tonight, we've had some issues. If you are westbound on 70, there's now some actually looking good traffic as you head toward Jennings Station, and an accident eastbound in that area. So if you are taking eastbound 70, there is a jam headed for Lucas and Hunt. And that's created a slow go, an accident there and a slow go behind it. Westbound 70, moderate volume in pockets 79 out through Wentzville, 6440, slow moving traffic eastbound. We had this accident eastbound 6440 at Hampton, and they have been blocking the left lanes. And behind it, we've got a jam that goes back past McKnight. Now they are saying that they have cleared it, so it should get better. But boy, in the meantime, it's ugly. And southbound 270, slow pockets from Page down through 44. 55 is jamming mainly in the usual areas, which means right there at Bates. This report brought to you by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk.
While you might not give a hoot about this week's space launch, you sure as sunshine care when your AC goes down. Well, good news. A Jerry Kelly per-producing tune-up is just 98 smackers right this very moment. $98.
JerryKelly.com. Hey, if you need a great family practice attorney here in St. Louis, and I kind of hope you don't just because these are tough things to go through, but if you do, I have the right person for you. That's Susan L. Ward. I love Susan. I've gotten a chance to know her. She is the consummate professional. She is an excellent family law attorney, and they handle a lot of different topics at her law firm, which has multiple locations. But you want someone who's competent. You want someone who has experience. You want someone who knows the judges, because you'd be surprised how much even having that type of experience in, situations like this, in family law in particular, really makes a difference. So she's got you covered with all of that, with a ton of experience and great staff and folks in her office who will take great care of you. Susan, in her personality, though, is infectious. It really is. So she'll tell you, and the website will even tell you, interview a prospective lawyer. Make sure you're comfortable, right? Like do an interview with them as I would do with a guest here on 97.1 FM Talk. When you do that with Susan, I think you're going to want to hire her. You can find out more at STLFamilyLaw.com. The focus on family law and the emphasis on you. Susan L. Ward.
One of the things with running is I want to enjoy the run, but I never made it very far because the arches on my feet just killed me. So when I got to the end of my rope and I said, I have to do something to get rid of the pain, and a couple people recommended the Good Feet store to me. I loved how I could go in and get a free personalized arch support fitting. They put that time, that work, that effort into helping you find the right arch supports. And you can walk around this store with these in your shoes and try them out before you purchase them. So after I got my arch supports, the arches on my feet stopped hurting and the pain literally instantly went away. So if you have pain, go. Find a Good Feet store and go. There is an answer. Find the simple solution that will get rid of your pain. I'm Rondi, and that's my Good Feet story.
See how Good Feet arch supports work for you before you buy with a free fitting and test walk at the Good Feet store.
Visit one of our 2 locations, Creve Coeur and Shiloh, Illinois, and at goodfeet.com.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love, guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay, things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com, sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
I'm Danny Cohn, President and CEO of the Jewish Federation of St. Louis. This past week, the Jewish holiday of Yom HaShoah commemorated the 80th anniversary of the Holocaust and remembered the 6 million Jews who were murdered by the Nazis in World War II. As Jews, when we recall the atrocities of the Holocaust, we say, never again. This is not a slogan or a tagline. It's a responsibility we all share to prevent the systematic hatred from going unchecked. When we work together to fight against prejudice and bigotry towards everyone, we create a better community for everyone.
Who has the most 5-star reviews in St. Louis? Is J.D. Powers Award winner 5 years in a row and has the nation's best warranty coverage.
Renewal by Anderson, that's who. Take advantage of our great May sale. $279 off every window and $729 off every entry door or patio door. With 0 payments and 0 interest for 18 months. Check it out at rbastl.com or call 314-332-1924. Renewal by Anderson, a better way to a better window.
You know, Innsbruck is really an amazing place, and I still have the feeling that a lot of folks from St. Louis have never gone out. You've heard about Innsbruck. It's about an hour away from St. Louis. I remember when I first moved here in the 80s when Innsbruck was kind of taking off. It was like the fancy place that people went to. Well, now it's just a great place where you can not have the travel time to the Lake of the Ozarks. It's close to home. It's beautiful, swimming, hiking, you name it. We go out there a few times a year. We do a dog-friendly property, maybe a hot tub as well, and just have a lot of fun. You can bring other family members out there or friends. Now, you can also build houses out there. You can buy a property that's out there. They have great real estate team on staff out there at Innsbruck. But keep in mind, there's so many options. They have these treehouse designs, which it does not even do it a service to call them a treehouse. They're beautiful. You can live in them full time. They have the old A-frame chalets that are still available. They're going to take great care of you. And don't forget about all the things you can do. They have awesome horseback riding. They have a championship golf course, which is amazing. They have it all. Innsbruck-resort.com. Innsbruck-resort.com. Go out and see them.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
5:31 is the time. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
97.1 FM Talk.
Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Jupiter and Mars.
So we've been talking about the
In
fact
other
that Sue
words-
picked out the music today since Mark is not here. And as things would work out, Frank Sinatra with Fly Me to the Moon just happened to show up at the exact time that Erik Lindbergh is joining us in the studio. Erik, how are you?
I'm good. I made it through Lindbergh Boulevard just fine, but 64 was a little slow.
Yeah, that was bad.
You know, yesterday, 70 was the bad one. So you never know. I mean, welcome to St. Louis. We're going to roll the dice and find out which highway has the bad traffic today. Man, I am very excited, A, to meet you, B, that we could have some time together to talk about while you're in town. From time to time, you meet people and you realize that you've really underachieved in life. And you're one of those people that as I read through your bio, and you know it's someone who's done a lot when they give you a short bio and a long bio. And the short bio is longer than my long bio. Just a little bit of this. Erik is the co-founder and the executive chairman. It's Vertigo?
Vertigo Air.
Vertigo Aero, which provides powertrain systems and engineering services to the emerging electric aircraft industry, which I find amazing, by the way.
It would have helped me get over the traffic today.
You could have landed on the building and just come down the elevator. That would have been
right.
fantastic. Obviously, you know the name. He is the co-host of the Lindbergh podcast. He also serves as the chairman of the board of the Charles and Ann Morrow Lindbergh Foundation, which we just talked to the mayor of Grafton, whose last name is also Morrow. So not sure if there's a connection there, but he's a retired Army colonel, and he's got an amazing project that's going on over there. So let me ask you this. What brings you back to St. Louis?
Well, we're looking at the 100th anniversary of my grandfather's flight, right?
Which is 2 years, right? 1927?
1927. He was flying the mail between here and Chicago, and he heard about this prize, $25,000 for the first nonstop between New York and Paris. And in those days, that was crazy. But he found backers here at the St. Louis Racket Club.
Oh, wow.
Helped him to buy, he put his life savings up, and they helped him to buy the plane for $10,580.
That had to be a lot of money back then.
A lot of money. The spirit of St. Louis was what the result of that, probably the best branding exercise in St. Louis history, maybe the world, because it went instantaneously globally.
Wow. Obviously, it went well. He
lived. Yes.
He lived. He survived that, which, that's better than St. Louis traffic some days. So that's a good thing. So you've got a lot of projects coming up on the 100th anniversary, and you've got a dinner that you're doing on the 21st of this month.
Yeah. So we're looking at how do we use the 100th anniversary as a lever to create positive change. And so the foundation moved here to St. Louis in 2024, last year.
Okay.
We started doing STEM education programs, working with the St. Louis Science Center, their Yes Teens, and now we're working with Lindbergh High School.
Hey,
shout out to Lindbergh and Christian Brothers College High School. And
CBC.
So, yep. So we've got students building electric airplanes, flying them on a tether.
Wow.
So they're small,
Oh, wow.
flying them on a tether. So you learn a full aviation STEM curriculum, and then they fly, crash, compete to carry loads. And it's a great co-opetition, as we call it, that gets people excited about STEM education.
How do batteries work right now? I mean, I'm thinking of cars, right? And car batteries, how far can you make it? Are electric planes a thing? And if so, how far can you go?
Yeah, so those student planes, they're on a tether, so they're still plugged in. My business, Virgo
Yes.
Aero, we bet against batteries, that they would not be useful for commercial certified purpose.
Uh-huh.
And so we're building hybrid electric propulsion systems. That means like a Prius, you put in
Yep.
gas, it charges the generator. We
Genius.
have batteries, and the market is coming to us now.
I love this.
Because it needed to happen, and that's the laws of physics. Batteries are coming along very, very slowly.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And they're very, very heavy.
They're super heavy.
That's the thing that I was thinking of when they talked about battery operated planes. And I thought, man, I may be from Northwest Arkansas, but that math doesn't work for me.
The extraordinary promise of electric is that you can put thrust anywhere you want to on an airframe. So you could put thrust all along the wing, and then you have an instantaneously blown wing, as you call it, and
Wow.
generate lift really quickly. So you can change the mission profiles and take off like a helicopter, and then fly with the efficiency and speed of an airplane. So that's the promise. Using hybrid is the way to go. That's what we bet on, and we're happy we made that bet.
I mean, the promise is kind of George Jetson, right? That's what we were all expecting to have by 2025. Obviously, that's a little further down the road. Tell me a little bit about X Prize. Where did this come from, and where is it today?
So my first trip to St. Louis, I was involved with the X Prize. We gathered under the arch in 1996 with 20 astronauts and the head of NASA, and we announced a $10 million prize to be awarded to the first private manned space program that could fly up into space, return safely, and do it again within 2 weeks, showcasing that it was reusable, because the space shuttle wasn't, and it cost $750 to $1 billion to refurbish it. So we wanted to jumpstart the private spaceflight industry, and it was kind of a crazy mission. We persevered. We probably should have failed, but we did it, and it jump-started that commercial spaceflight industry that we're seeing now with Musk, Bezos, and Branson trying to sell us tickets to go into space.
Isn't that amazing how far we've come in just that short period of time?
Yeah. Not only that, it reinvigorated the incentive prize industry. Remember, my grandfather was trying
Right.
to fly across the Atlantic to win a prize. Peter Diamandis, the founder of X Prize, read about that in The Spirit of St. Louis, my grandfather's book, and said, "That's how I'm going to get to space, a prize." And it was crazy. And he should have failed. Did I mention that? But it worked. And that has now allowed X Prize, wearing my X Prize hat, us to have 30 prizes in the last 30 years, and $600 million in prizes, either given or active. So we're solving the world's grand challenges, things that big businesses and governments aren't, using incentive prizes, just like my grandfather won in 1927.
That is awesome.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
So I understand that Elon Musk is involved with this as well.
Yeah, Elon came onto our board early on after 2004 when the X Prize was won. He was starting to get involved. Same with Larry Page, and Google has backed a bunch of our prizes now. Elon Musk's carbon removal prize was just awarded at the New York Stock Exchange. This was trying to see if we could remove carbon from the atmosphere at the gigaton level. And if we could bring the cost of that down, would that be an effective way to remove carbon from the atmosphere if we need to do that as plan B or whatever?
Wow.
Yeah. So really cool things. We put up incentive prizes, again, wearing my X Prize hat. I don't want to get people too confused, to solve these problems. And the large prize attracts incredible people thinking outside of the box that solve problems that really weren't being solved before.
Well, it's interesting where you started in talking about your grandfather chasing an incentive, $25,000 to fly across the ocean, which today you're thinking that's not a big deal. It was a big deal in 1927, right? So everything is relative, right? Tell me a little bit about how that sort of incentive coming back to St. Louis and your vision for St. Louis getting involved and kind of regenerating that spirit of exploration.
Yeah. So I mentioned the STEM education program.
Yeah.
We're building this Lindbergh Innovation Forum talks locally here. We're going to have that in the fall. Bleeding edge technologies, CEOs talking about additive manufacturing, AI and aviation, things like that. Get people excited about the innovation ecosystem that's really thriving here in St. Louis. If anyone takes a look, they're amazed at what's going on, especially in aerospace and geospatial intelligence, et cetera, and the life sciences. So on top of that, we're planning to use the 100th anniversary to showcase that spirit and show people around the world what's going on here. And in the process, in the next 2 years, deciding on, can we design an incentive prize that is the most impactful and audacious prize in history? And can we really launch that here from St. Louis as we fly from San Diego to St. Louis to New York to Paris, like I did on the 75th anniversary to Save X Prize.
There you go.
Can we do that for the 100th? And can we work on a problem that's on a scale of democratizing energy or getting cereal crops to fix nitrogen, these issues that could feed and fuel the world potentially? That's the kind of scale we want to attack with an incentive prize. And if we can build this in St. Louis and export that, sky's no longer the limit.
So what needs to happen for St. Louis to really own what you were talking about? I love your vision. I love the fact when people come in, we were talking about earlier this week about Donald Trump and that he always seems to swing for the fences, right? He's swinging for a home run every time. I love people like what you were talking about, what X Prize did originally and what Elon Musk seems to be doing with his things, Bezos, Branson, all of those guys. People who are always pushing the envelope, because that's how we get to where we get to. Somebody, like you said, we should have failed, right? But we didn't. And it's all those people who are willing to put it out there and try to fail, right? Let's push it as fast as we can. What does St. Louis need to do to really make this vision that you're talking about a success?
Yeah. So that's an awesome question.
Thank you.
We are, we can do education programs and slowly scale them.
Yeah.
We can build the innovation forums and do awards and slowly scale them. If we're going to reach this big vision of changing the world, we need St. Louis to rally and really help us to build the boots on the ground, the infrastructure that'll enable us to showcase that spirit and then leverage it, leverage the 100th and really try to put out a challenge that is, can we do space-based solar power satellite that gathers sunlight 24/7 in space, beams it down safely to a city grid, giving us line of sight to democratized energy? And I hate to use that as an example because I don't want people to focus on that.
Right.
But that's the kind of level we need to think about. And when you talk about swinging for the fences, I don't know about you, but I'm not getting any younger. And these things aren't easy. They're hard.
Yeah.
And yet get stuck in traffic on the way to the radio interview. So you're late. But it's worthwhile, right? And we've done this before. Why can't we do it again? I'm not sure I'll have a third chance in life to change the world, but I've done it once with a team of people that struggled and persevered and made it happen. So we're going for it now.
I'm excited about this opportunity coming back to St. Louis. I mean, we have a brand new mayor who's kind of starting a clean sweep. The governor's involved with a big focus on trying to make St. Louis, what it is. There's so many times we've been talking about the World's Fair, and because it was the anniversary of the World's Fair yesterday, right, Sue? And Sue's done a number of programs focused on the World's Fair and just talking about the fact that St. Louis has such a rich history, and there's no reason why we can't do all the things that you're talking about, and it can be here. We've missed some opportunities over the last 150, 175 years, right? Railroad should have come through here, and we should have been Chicago, but we weren't. But we've got the Lindbergh story. We've got the World's Fair story. We've got a lot of other stories that we have a history that should support this grandiose vision that you have. And I love the fact that you're coming back and you're giving us the opportunity to be a part of that. And I love to see, I'm excited to see where this is going. I'm excited to be at the dinner on the 21st and kind of see, more steps of where we can go. And I appreciate the fact that you're pouring into our kids.
Fantastic. If we don't do it, it'll never happen.
I agree.
And I think the arms reaching around and embracing us as a foundation and our vision and our goals, the spirit is definitely alive and thriving here in St. Louis. And that's an incredible gift. And I don't think the world knows that.
It's time for us to tell that story.
I think that's an opportunity.
That is Erik Lindbergh. He is joining us today. We appreciate you spending some time. I know you've had a crazy day, and I'm sure you've got a lot more crazy stuff that you have to get done by the end of the day. So thanks for working us into your busy schedule. We appreciate the time, and I look forward to learning more about everything that's going on. You can follow him at eriklindbergh.com. Where else can people keep track of you?
The LindberghFoundation.org is a great place. And I don't know, this station, 97.1.
We'll link to it. That'll be great. Erik, thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely.
We are going to wrap up the big show with the audio cut of the day. That is coming up on the other side. It's Mike Elam in for Mark Reardon today on 97.1 FM Talk.
Let me sing forevermore.
Follow Mark on Twitter at Mark Reardon KFTK and Instagram at Mark Talk. You're listening to the Mark Reardon Show.
The words, please be true. In other words,
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, well, things now look better on eastbound 6440. It's just a little slow at Big Bend. Eastbound 70 thinning out at Bermuda, where we had an earlier accident. Southbound 270, slow pockets approaching Olive down through Doherty Ferry, but it's not too terrible. 55 is in great shape all the way down to Festus out of downtown. And some moderate volume westbound on the Poplar Street Bridge that ramps on to southbound 55. That's not too bad. This report brought to you by Artistic Decks. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Artistic Decks, making your dream deck affordable for more than 20 plus years. Craft your deck with the highest quality materials with precision attention. Be the envy of the neighborhood. 314-280-0821. 314-280-0821. ArtisticDecks.net.
Have you been notified that your subsidy for Obamacare health insurance is going away? Well, you can leave now while you are still healthy and can qualify for much better individual plans. Greg Hammonds at greghammonds.com has been helping people get affordable health insurance with great coverage for over 35 years. Greg offers private health insurance plans that are not on the ACA marketplace. You can pick your doctors. For most claims, you won't even pay a deductible, and they're 30 to 60% lower cost than Obamacare. One more thing, there's no tax penalty at the end of the year. Greg even has plans that are guaranteed acceptance. If you pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive, call Greg at 314-794-7784. That's 314-794-7784. Or go to greghammonds.com. That's greghammonds.com. He can custom design a plan by you, not the government.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right right to appeal, or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Drury Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURY, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Drury Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Friday, the president's national security advisor is out. What does that mean? We'll talk to Jim Carafano from Heritage at 7:20.
The Mark Cox Morning Show. Weekdays from 5 to 9. Right here on 97.1 FM Talk. If you missed anything, podcast The Mark Reardon Show at 971talk.com.
Serves a quiet night.
And Sue calls an audible here.
Huh?
You go, isn't this REM?
Yes.
So we were all 70s for the most part. I mean, Fly Me to the Moon worked out to be really great with Erik Lindbergh being here.
We had Alan Parsons Project, a little bit of 80s.
That's true. So we kind of worked that
We
through.
had Nick Lowe. So, yeah, we got it all.
It has been a full day today. I got to tell you, we've had a whole lot of stuff that has happened today. The Mark Reardon Show has been kicking.
Yes.
Thanks to Hall of Famer Fred Bottomer for putting all that stuff together.
That's right, Fred.
Hey, tomorrow we've got the round table. Steve Butts, Ted House, Gene Evans all joining us. Paul Hall's going to tell us about entertainment. Frank Cusimano is going to talk a little sports with us. So full show again tomorrow. Like I said, I love Fridays on this station because we have so many things going on. We're even going to have Brad Young on tomorrow. So
love it.
I know you got a little bit of everything that's happening. I was trying to think about when I was looking at all the audio that we have today to try to figure out about the audio cut of the day. And there's so many things that I would like to pick from, but I'm actually going to do a few, let's call them contenders. How's that? I want to start off by talking about the fact we haven't talked that much about the David Hogg thing. Oh, we have 2 minutes? Oh, wow. So maybe I shouldn't do all that stuff. So here's one that I want to play for you. So David Hogg is a 25-year-old super liberal who is the vice chairman of a Democratic National Committee. And he and James Carville are going at it. I thought this was interesting. Cut number 9.
I don't understand. You're not going to raise money to run against Democrats, or you are going to raise money to run against them?
We're
going to do that.
We are raising money.
You're going to do that.
Democrats.
That is an abomination.
James, you have to understand the nuance here.
There's no nuance to it. It's just flat out wrong. It's flat out wrong to use money that could be used to be.
Here's the deal, James. What is your plan to deal with our abominable approval rating?
Win elections.
I just thought that was hilarious. It kind of shows you where the Democratic Party is, that you've got a guy who's going to fundraise to wipe out Democrats. That's kind of crazy. I don't think you know what your job is, but I'm going to go with this for the audio cut of the day.
Stand by. Playback ready. Initiating sequence. Now, the audio cut of the day.
So Tim Walz, who ran for vice president with Kamala Harris, you know, he was coach. And I just thought this guy just has, it's cut 29. Let's just play it.
I could code talk to white guys watching football, fixing their truck, doing that.
that I could put them at ease. I was the permission structure to say, look, you can do this and vote for this.
Really?
What?
I don't think that worked out well. He was thinking since he was a coach, he could code talk to these white guys and get them to vote for Kamala Harris.
When you say stuff like that, does he hear himself?
That's why I was like, I don't know what your deal is, man, but you're crazy. Hey, tomorrow is Friday. Thank God. I'm so looking forward to it. We'll get you back here tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Have a wonderful evening. We'll start it early with the Go Blues.
Catch anything you missed today by getting the show podcast at 971talk.com. Follow Mark on Twitter at Mark Reardon KFTK and Instagram at Mark Talk. This is the Mark Reardon Show. Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
There is some volume northbound 67 headed into Alton, the Clark Bridge. We've got some road work up there, and that may be the worst of it. Other than that, we're good. The eastbound 70 was a little bit slow. There was an accident reported just past Kings Highway, and there may be some volume there. But that's it. Southbound 55 looks good. Southbound 270, a slow pocket or two from Olive, and that goes down through Doherty Ferry, and then it opens up. And looking out west, 70 is wide open until you get to Wentzville. Little slow there. Moderate volume on 64 from Highway N out through the 70 split. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Brought to you by your local Lennox Premier dealer, Scott Lee Heating. Make sure your home's heating and cooling system is being cared for by your local Lennox Premier dealer, Scott Lee Heating. Special savings opportunities and federal tax credits are available, so call 314-756-9444 or visit online at scottleeheating.com.
This is Todd Nissenholtz of Kaufman Townsend. When I tell people who get in a crash, call a lawyer, but I often hear, I'm not the suing type. Listen. There are all types of people. Personally, I'm not the getting screwed type. If you're not the getting screwed type, call my firm, and we'll make sure that doesn't